They told me to keep the sling on for 6 weeks, and I had it off on day 3. When people ask me when they sign up for the meets, like, what's a crossover division? I'm like, you're going to pay $50 so you can get this $3 medal, unopposed.
It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk.
All right, Jordan, last time you were out, you were going to fly back to get your pec repaired.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into that, if I remember correctly, it was a full tendon rupture, right?
Correct.
How much of was it just the tendon or was the muscle ruptured as well?
It was just the tendon, I believe.
All right, so you don't have a big hole in it right now?
No, not at all.
So how'd the surgery go?
Went really good. So I got back to Florida, I think a day after we met last. And I think the day after that, I had to drive down to Miami because I was fortunate. I don't have insurance or anything, didn't do the traditional route. So I just kind of Googled like sports, whatever near. And then there was a guy, Jonathan Glassho or something like that. And he's the guy with the Philadelphia Flyers. So like, it seemed to me, he had like a schedule, like he'd be in Philadelphia, New York City, Miami on like a rotating schedule. And that next week he happened to be in Miami. So just private pay, paid cash, flew down there, met him for like a minute. And I woke up and looked at my cell phone and he sent me a bunch of text messages of the video of the surgery, talking about it as it went on and like kind of recovery instructions, and met with his...
Was this in an outpatient center?
Yeah. Yeah. So I had to go to a surgery center. If I went to a hospital, they quoted like $40,000.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
And then it ended up being like 8 total.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I don't know if a part of me, because like I've always heard things about how surgeons kind of are rude assholes or whatever. I feel like in our conversations, he kind of just assumed I was like some dumbass meathead and he was just kind of doing me a favor. And I feel like that's what he did for me, if that makes sense. Like just the communication. He's like, yeah, like you can tell all your buddies when you're bench pressing next. And just the way he was like kind of talking to me, I didn't really love it, but the service was good. The staff was good.
Well, at least he was saying you can tell your buddies when you're bench pressing next.
Yeah.
When I had mine done, it was weird, man, because when I had mine done, the surgeon said afterwards that, you know, the tendon looked like spaghetti and all this other kind of stuff. And I would never, this is the crazy part. I would never bench over 405 again. And I'm sitting there thinking,
I like tell the story. Yeah.
What the fuck? They're like, what are you talking about? Why that? Like, why not 385?
385?
You know what I'm saying?
Because the way I see it too, if there's a load on your chest, like over X amount of weight, I'm sure it's relative for most people. What's an extra 50 pounds?
Yeah.
Like even if someone has shoulder pain, it's like, oh, like, why does it only hurt at 225? Is that like all mental? Because if they're doing 185 and they're fine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think he said it because it was, I believe that was what I tore it on. It was my opener.
Okay.
Like, I think he tore yours was like 385 or something like that. It's never the big one.
No.
And so it was just weird, man, because the whole time I'm thinking, well, that really wasn't my max. So is he going off what my max was? Because if it's my max, then it would be 545, you know? So I'm trying to like figure all this crap out. And so you worked with Seth afterwards.
Yeah.
So you had a good protocol.
So that's actually part of the reason why I feel like
well, how long were you, did they sling you?
So I kind of gave him praise. And if I were to not be with Seth, I would probably have a different story, because he obviously has to go to the traditional rehab. You know what I mean? Like kind of gave me instructions. I only met with I don't know what role he had, but he Zoomed me the day or two later, talked about the rehab and stuff. And I kind of made a comment. I had a friend, Seth, that was going to help me through. And he was very like resistant to that. And I think once he figured out I was kind of going to do my own thing with him rehab wise, I don't think he wanted to be liable.
Did they have you immobilized though?
Yes. They told me to keep the sling on for 6 weeks, and I had it off on day 3.
Okay.
And not because it's like, oh, I'm going to tough this shit out, but I was like, all right, well, as long as I can let it hang and not bump into anything, I think I'll be good. I kept it on when I slept, which was the worst. And then eventually I just figured out like, I think I'm going to be okay. And I was.
They had me immobilized. I didn't know any better. I think I was the 3rd pec tear in Columbus. And they had it. I was casted, man. They had it like stuck in there. Then there's like this, I couldn't get out of it.
Yeah.
No matter what. And so I just kind of avoided West Side and trained at Matt Dimmel's place with all the
Mhm.
machines for about a month. And then when I went in there, they kind of cut it off. But many years later, when I had the shoulder done, they didn't, it basically said, just put the sling on when you're sleeping, you know, so you don't jack it all up, or you're out in public, you know,
Okay.
because somebody will like whip it around, but to get it moving.
Yeah. So when they did my MRI, the report came back that I had a tear in my rotator cuff as well. But the surgeon said, "Yeah, we don't want to fix that." And
Been there forever.
yeah, he said it would be old, and I'd probably be laid up even more. And Seth kind of said the same thing. He's like, "The rotator's probably been there a while, so you should be good in theory. Because if we have to be that restricted with the rotator cuff, you can't get right to pec rehab."
Mm-hmm.
And with Seth, with the pec rehab, I was doing shit the very next day, and very grateful for that because I think about this a lot because even now I'll go up and grab the bar just to get that phantom pain. And it's 3 years later, I'm fine. And I'm like, man, if I try to do this shit myself, it's like, one, I would be too scared and not done anything, or two, I would have been too aggressive on the wrong day and then maybe hurt it even more. So I'm really glad that the way it happened.
So so with the 6 weeks that you were kind of immobilized,
Yeah.
like sleeping wise, and
Yeah.
I get that.
1 week, but yeah.
Yeah. What I assume the first phase was just trying to get range of motion back.
Yes, it was a lot of really simple things that he'd just be like, I don't know if you can see me,
Yeah.
but just
Yeah.
one arm, hang, just
Mhm.
move, flex it as often as I can, just kind of sit there and contract it, hold it, isometric holds. And then before I knew it, I was doing, it was weird. It'd be like, okay, you know, the standing chest press, it's like grip with two hands, but really only push with your right, but with the left, kind of just keep it guided.
Mhm.
And like, funny enough, the more I did double, because I was really expecting just a shitload of single arm stuff while letting it like heal. But the way we did things was a lot of double arm work while just letting it sit there while doing single arm. And I think over time that kind of built my confidence of being able to just press with both hands. And I know like after the surgery, they went in, cut it up, and everything's reattached. But when I talked to you, I remember talking to you about, dude, I feel like I could bench 225 right now. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with me
Mhm.
because I was back to benching 50-pound dumbbells before the surgery. And I kind of thought after the fact, since I was already doing that, it would be very easy, but I never had surgery before, so I didn't
Mhm.
realize what the repercussions were after the fact.
As you were coming back, because it's been 2 years, right? Since the surgery, right about.
If you had November 2023,
And I'm sure before this main tendon tear, you had
Mhm.
pec tears, right? Strains,
very bad strains.
right? Have you had in that same area like reoccurring strains? Really?
It's crazy. So there was one day I felt like I had a little bit of a strain, but it was gone in a day. And it wasn't even like, oh shit, I did something, I heard it. It was just after the workout, I'm like, should I be frightened? And then I actually referred back to a podcast mentally that Seth did with you. And I remember him talking about, I don't know about specifically, but he almost compared it to a chicken breast being nailed into like a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Like, how's it going to move? So that was that's how I framed it in my mind. And I'm hoping that's true. So
Yeah, I was an idiot when I came back. So I came back way too fast.
Mhm.
And once I was able to get back to like an opener weight,
Mhm.
so you're training with the weights that you would relatively train with.
Yeah.
For the next, man, it was probably 2 years. Just randomly, it could be on like speed work, repetition work, or whatever it was, just pow, would pop. And the first couple times I'm running back to the surgeon, like, oh, fuck, I tore it off. He's like, no, it was just scar tissue or whatever they said it was. But that became a big freaking issue because it was like any of the other pops that you've probably had before. 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But if this happens like 3 weeks out, you're
fucked.
Yeah, I'm just show
At least
up and see, right? And so it took me and I think it's because I was such an idiot, came back way too fast because the guys like yourself that I talk to that have done this more intelligently over this long period of time, they don't have that issue.
Yeah.
Right. So
we have the knowledge now. I'm assuming back then it was kind of like, well, fuck, like, let's just see how it goes. If we feel okay, feel okay. Like, it's funny you talked about the scar tissue just now, because that's all I expected. Because I've heard you say that many times with other guests about like pretty much any surgery. It's you feel that, and I've never had that happen. And for like the first year, I was expecting it, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because I got right back to moving it right away, or if I just got lucky, or if like the whole peptide stuff kind of sped things up a little bit. I don't really know how that works that in depth, but I didn't really have any issues with the pec afterwards.
Well, it's interesting with that because it's with the peptide stuff, because it's, we have podcasts where we're talking with people just in depth about all that other stuff. Then I'll talk to the lifters and they'll be like, how much do you think it really helped? And it's like, oh,
There's no comparison either.
Yeah, I know.
You've never had that. If you've never had an injury like that before, or like a tendon reattachment, it's not like you can compare the first one, the second one, unless it happened to two separate ones.
yes.
And I'd never want to find that out. So,
Mhm.
and with the whole peptide aspect too, I think the problem there is people rely on it too much. And I'm talking more from like a micro scale if they strain something. So instead of rehabbing, they're like, oh, I'm just going to go shoot up a bunch of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, if it works, it works. But like, there's work to be done in addition to that for the long term, in my opinion.
Oh, there's a lot of work to be done, where I think I heard on one of the podcasts that you were on is you treated it like a full-time
Oh,
job.
yeah. That was,
So with, let's just call it the blood work, you know,
Mhm.
the first rehab. So like range of motion and blood work, how
Mhm.
many times a day were you doing things?
5
Yeah,
minimum.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm an early riser. So I usually get to the gym by 4:30, 5 o'clock, start my day, and I'm in and out of the place all day. I get home by 7, 8 o'clock, depending on the day. And I kind of set my days up, you know, how like we live out of a book or some sort of scheduling. So my planner, it's 30-minute increments. So I would make sure I had at least every 3 to 4 hours a spot blocked off so I can go do something. And, you know, like it doesn't take 30 minutes, but if something comes up, you need to still fit that in,
Mhm.
you know,
Yep.
because a lot of this shit's 5-10 minute work. And
Well, it's
that
not,
goes
yeah,
for anything.
it's not a big deal. It was, I will say this, when I was still training people
Mhm.
and my whole day was scheduled out in 30-minute blocks like
Mhm.
that, it was way easier.
Because you could just grab a fucking band.
Yeah,
Right.
because I'm in the gym, it's right there. I'm
Mhm.
training people. I can put it in the
Yeah.
schedule. And then when I went away from that and just started working on the business,
Mhm.
then 3 hours go by and it's like, fuck, I didn't.
That's kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah. So it's hard, right, man? Because 4 hours can go by like that. You're like, oh shit.
And 4 hours can go by without being productive at all. Because if you're in a certain setting, people don't shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And the day just gets away from you and you look back at your list and you're like, cool, this whole day I blocked my schedule out. I got more done on the day I don't block my schedule out because of the circumstances. It fucking sucks.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It took me forever to kind of figure it out, but the way I'll kind of block out my day now is on the planner, I'll have like 3 main priorities, 1, 2, 3. These are 3 things I have to get done.
Yeah.
And then over here, it will say time and it will be whatever the appointments are.
Yeah.
And then it will be admin
Mhm.
and then all of the other shit, you know, that I have to do.
Yeah. One organization aspect, I've gotten better at it, but you know, we all overestimate how much time we have in a day to get things done or how long something's going to take, especially if we have other things like interfering with it. And I'd always knock out the little easy things first because you could just cross it off the list. And those big things, you're like, oh shit, I didn't even get started. So I found that just making it almost like a non-negotiable of like, let's get the thing I think is going to take the longest done first. And that's been crucial for me.
And that's working.
Oh yeah.
Because I tried that for a while. And the problem I ran into with that is I'd procrastinate
Mhm.
too much on that. So I put a small little block, like a half hour,
Mhm.
45 minutes, a real easy shit I have to do every day
Yeah.
to build the momentum.
Mhm.
And then it took me a while to be able to pull off of those,
Yeah.
to be able to jump right into the others.
Yeah. And it brings Seth back. So I'm still working
Yeah.
with Seth. He's doing my programming, coaching and all that. And I was explaining, because I'm getting ready for a meet in a few weeks. And I was telling him, man, I'm like, just mentally, it's hard for me to go out and just get training done sometimes because I'm just, hate the word busy because it's overused, but I'm just occupied with other things and, you know, different seasons of life and stuff. And he's like, dude, this sounds super lame, but get a notebook and just audit your time. So like, let's say you have an hour to do something, write down what you actually do for that hour. And he was kind of making fun of himself for doing that. I was like, no, that's what we tell people to do when we coach people, like audit your time, audit your nutrition, audit your training. What are you actually doing? And I've been doing that for the past week because that's when we talked about, and I'm like, It's very eye-opening.
Mhm.
And then depending on how you're wired, you don't want to fuck that logbook up with what you're doing. So you're like, I have to do this, or I'm going to look like an idiot writing. I picked up my phone and I scrolled for 30 minutes.
Yeah, good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
To do that, because every now and again I'll circle back to be
Mhm.
able to, especially if I'm trying to find workflows,
Mhm.
because now I'm trying to find workflows that I can basically have AI or something like
Yeah.
that do. So you got to audit even deeper to be able to know
Mhm.
exactly what that workflow is.
Yeah.
Then you start putting it in there and you're like, man, I don't want to write that I just fucked off for a half
'cause
hour.
You have to.
Yeah, I know you have to put it in there. With the so where are you at now with the pack?
So
Because you did a meet
I did
last
I think I've
year,
done
right?
2 meets. So
2 meets.
yeah, I think it was 2. So we did 2023 surgery was November. I made a goal to come back by December 2024 at my own meet, the King of the Platform. And I just wasn't ready yet. And was my pec ready? Yeah, I think it
Mhm.
was. But I really just wasn't ready yet in terms of like being able to focus for the meet because I just had a lot of, we just expanded the gym at that time. So like, we'll get to that a little bit, I'm sure. But a month prior, we moved the gym, expanded it. So that was just so much. You can't really get a whole training session and actually focus. So I was like, all right, let's just wait till the ghost meet in 2025. I did okay. I did good with the bench. I think I benched 418.
435.
No,
Well, no,
it
that
was
yeah,
King of-
418. Yep.
Yeah, which is the most I've done in a long time because I don't know if you remember this pre-pec tear, I had the like 4 to 5 year nerve issue where my left arm just shut off. My bench dropped from like 480 to 225. So that was pretty cool. I was very happy with that. And then I just crashed at that meet. Like my deadlifts came and like, I don't know, it's like someone just pulled something out of me and I just deflated. And I think I just attributed that to just lifestyle factors at the time, just, just not being in shape to be in shape. And then it really kind of fired me up. So I spent a long time fixing that. And then I did my own meet like I planned in 2025, tore my hamstring 6 weeks out and was able to put up probably my third best total since a long time from whenever. And that was with me running the meet, coaching 30 lifters, high stress environment. And with the bench, you said it was 435. That was crazy to me because that was and it was easy too. That was by far the most I've felt strong on bench since 2017, 2016.
Is your plan to stay 42s?
No, I was actually like 222. And I was like, you know what? I'm running the weigh-ins. I'm not going to cut the weight. Like I was barely sleeping. I wasn't even sure I was going to do the meet because with the hamstring, I wasn't able to put a good squat together, obviously. And then my last heavy session, we had a little bit of mishap where I kind of just lost it in the hole and there's a little bit of a miscommunication on the spotting and my other knee got fucked up. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll just bench at this meet. And then I deadlifted 2 weeks out. I missed like 650 and some chain and the hamstring was hurting pretty bad that day. But for whatever reason, things just felt perfect on that day during warmups. And Trevor Jaffe actually texted me the night before the meet. And like, he's a friend of mine. So he was being courteous. He's like, I don't think you should do this meet. And that didn't really offend me at all because I'm like, I'd say the same thing. But like when someone tells you like, I don't think you should do something, we all kind of have that switch in our head. I'm like, yeah. And it wasn't even towards Trevor. I was like, he's right. But like, I got to prove to myself I can do something very hard in this scenario. Cause you're holding my open powerlifting shit. You've seen over the years, like it's just been a downhill, uphill. And unfortunately I've been that guy where it's like, it's almost like the identity of my powerlifting lately is just coming back from shit. And I'm tired of that. And I was able to put something up good and I got my confidence back.
Well, it's interesting because as I'm looking through here, let's say there's such a thing as a ceiling, like where our genetic ceiling is with
you would think I've hit it. And
it looks like you kind of hit it around 2013, 2014.
So June 4th, yesterday, 2016 was the highest total I've ever hit. And that was 8 months after being told I'd never really, and not to be like, I came back, that bullshit, but they tried to give me emergency back surgery. That kind of pissed me off. And I was able to put together the biggest total, that 42. And then I had issues after that with, I think we talked about last time. Like I've never had real life before, like stressors, a real job. I was a college kid living with my parents, just fucking off, working at a restaurant, all in on powerlifting, whatever definition that is. And then 2021 came around. I hit the all-time world record again. kind of got my groove back, and then started to go downhill, just little nags and pains. And that 2016 to 2021, even till now, 2026, I still fall into that, like, did I really hit my ceiling, or am I just not putting it together like I could?
Well, when I add your best lifts together, it's over what you probably want to total.
Yeah,
it's
because
like
the nerve issue.
2024, right? And so it's, what do you want to total? Like $2,000?
That would be nice if I
And
could
then
just,
another world record squat,
yes.
right? So it looks like, just kind of tracking from this, from like 2015, you were strong enough to do all that. You just didn't put it together on that day. And then each meet moving forward, where this would be the question for you now, right? Because as being in the sport for 2 decades or whatever it is, you don't have to get any stronger. You just have to show up and display the strength that you've had all this time to the greatest ability, which in turn could be able to look at your training and say, you don't have to push this as hard as what you think you do.
No, 100%. And
because you just need to go in healthier.
Exactly. And it's funny you bring that up, because if you look at pretty much every meet there, and if you just said a random meet, I could tell you, like, okay, this was the issue there. And it's usually only pertaining to 1 or 2 of the lifts. And obviously with the bench, with the nerve damage, I went from benching 480 in 2016. Then I stopped being like a 250-pound dude. I was just too fat and shitty feeling. But I was still consistently benching like 457 to 474 in any given day. And then when the nerve issue happened, it's like it was just a slow burn all the way down. And honestly, like, I thought I was fucked. I was like,
yeah, that's a frustrating.
Yeah. And I've known other lifters that kind of got through it or didn't. And I think the pec tear was, as cliche as it sounds, it was like the best thing to ever happen to me, because one, I just got to start from scratch, and it was more of a mental rejuvenation of like, okay, I'm not chasing a number, I'm chasing just getting on the platform again. And then the way it worked out, I was able to get my confidence back, up and down, obviously. But even right now, I'm definitely not strong and in shape where I need to be for my goals, but I'm still at the point where it's like, okay, when I can make the decision to turn it on, I think in 2027, I will be probably hitting what I want to hit.
But if I was to go through some of these meets here, your training leading up to some of them was probably crappy, but then the performance was really good.
Yes.
You know, some of them you would go into and you ended up squatting way more than what you thought because the training really didn't represent.
When I got ready, when I did that meet, the all-time world record, the 826 at 220, I barely squatted like 672 9 weeks out. It felt terrible. And then things just started to turn around. I was able just to put 6 weeks together, and I was able to squat, what was it? Yeah, 826. And it's one of those things too, like with experience, as long as you can not be a mental midget, you can really, if you have the belief in yourself as well, as corny as that sounds, like, you know, you can just string those together and be where you need to be. As long as you don't rush the process and kind of fuck yourself up.
The heat is here, and I'm already hearing stories about people cramping and how it's screwing up their training sessions. The research shows optimal health outcomes at sodium levels 2 to 3 times the recommended level. As meatheads, we've known this for years. Element was built around this. For the past 2 years, I've used Element in my morning oatmeal. I put it in my coffee. I use it during training. Each stick has 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. There's no sugar, no fillers. It's just what your body needs. Stable energy with no crash, maintaining optimal fluid levels for peak performance in the gym, improves mental focus, helps regulate stress, and supports deeper sleep. Element just outdid themselves with this lemonade iced tea flavor. Same formula, but they added 50 milligrams of caffeine with L-theanine and polyphenols. Unlike isolated caffeine, this slows the curve. We all know that caffeine can dehydrate you. Well, not when it's mixed with Element. Go to drinkelements.com. You get a free 8-count sample pack with every order. I've never heard of anyone having a bad experience, but if you do, they make it right immediately, no questions asked. So how has it changed, just to forget about the business and all that stuff, just the training over the past year with this in mind? Like, all you have to do is to go display your best. How has that changed the way that you lay the training out?
So Seth lays the training out for me. And since it's been a pretty long-term relationship now, sounds gay. June. So the cut that out, I guess.
You guys have been through ups and downs.
I'll just display a new logo on my page. So with that, I think he knows like when things are good and when things are bad. And and I've actually taken away a lot from how he manages me with some of the guys I coach and girls I coach, because we're so used to that, almost like that linear 2, 3, 4 weeks on, pull back. Like there are times where I'm like, dude, he's had me do like 50% for singles against bands. But what he does for me is he's gotten very in tune with what accessory work kind of carries over and makes me feel strong. Like, for example, with my deadlift, I don't have to train it super hard right now, but he was able to push like my seated SSB good mornings up really high. And in theory, it's like, okay, I guess I can see that. And for myself, I'm like, dude, I haven't pulled anything heavy yet. But after that second week of rust comes off, I'm strong. And I guess what I'm getting at is picking the right accessories, pushing and pulling back when I need to on them, plus the main lifts, is what is helping me now. And in the past, it was like
just the main
80% for 5, 95% for 3, go hit a single, and I'd be okay. I'd recover from it. But at this point, I can't do that anymore.
Well, I wonder, because I think when we talked last time, that was like the bulk of your early training, your rise, right?
It was just linear periodization without any issue. It's just
just the
genetics, luck, and hard work.
The hard work, right? Yeah. Where how you get there really doesn't matter, right? So when you're working with the lifters that you have in your gym, which are going to be not at the level that you're at, right? Then how do you approach working with them? Is it because I see the benefits in what you did, right? Anybody that sits here and says what all you guys did is stupid, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Because you all got, you know what I'm saying? You're all breaking world records. So you can't sit there and say it doesn't work. You should have been doing more accessories. I can see the benefit because you're getting more touches with a heavier weight, you know, to learn that skill of those lifts. So it puts you in this precarious position, right? With the younger lifters, because part of you is like, they need to do this to be able to develop that skill there. But the other part is, I don't know if I really had to do all of that because I could have done less of that and put more of the accessory work in and maybe beat your body up less.
Yeah.
So how do you balance those thoughts?
So if I'm understanding the question, I have to answer it a few different ways. But like when someone, and I think we brought this up before, I don't like when someone gets into powerlifting and all they want to do is powerlifting. There's no body awareness. There's a lot of different like little weaknesses. So when someone comes into the sport, like fresh off, like I'm going to join the gym, I want to get into powerlifting, they'll find these programs online where it's like SBD, squat, bench. And it's like, yeah, that's going to get you to a certain point. But if you have no lats, if you can't row shit, like it's only going to get you so far. And whether it's an injury or just tweak or stagnation, whatever. And that's what I see happen a lot. So when someone's brand new or relatively new to the squat, bench, and deadlift, like I'll practice them more for like that 50, 60%, as weird as that sounds, just for a bunch of reps, because that builds the skill. And if the way I like to handle it is just gradually throw in like something that they'll have to work for like a set of 3 or 5 or something like that, maybe back them up after that, but just really get them aware of their body and different variations. Like even of a goblet squat, like does a goblet squat directly correlate to a barbell squat? Probably not as much as we'd want, but as long as they're just doing the squat motion over and over again, I feel like that starts to give it a little more awareness.
Well, for them, I would think it's going to carry over more than it would say for you
or me,
right.
or
even
just like an intermediate person.
Well, it's going to carry over for different reasons. Like if you're to do it, it's going to provide a deload for you to be able to recover from the other
for
stuff.
Me, it's just getting the movement in. So like I can get underneath the bar the next day and just not have to take an hour to hit depth or whatever. And then if we want to talk about like an intermediate guy or girl at my gym that I work with, I find myself a lot lately, which I need to get away from, is like, okay, I don't want them to make the same mistakes I did. And obviously I have to keep that in the back of my mind, but sometimes I feel like I'm getting too, it's almost like I'm minoring in the majors. I mean, like,
what are the mistakes you think you made?
Going too fast, too quick. I think I had the ability to go from like a 600 to 700 pound squat really quick. And it was just by, you know, like,
but who's not going to do?
Like, no, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
I know you're going to say that, but it's almost like I feel like for the and again, I feel like I need to get away from this to an extent. Just because you can doesn't mean you should every single time. Because if you're looking from a 2-year like macro view, if you can get to X amount of number of 2 years rather than hit something in one and then kind of just stall, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
And if someone's like, oh, I only want to do this shit for a year, it's like, yeah, we'll push and take the risk and stuff. But that's kind of how I see it.
One of the smartest things I saw was with Paul Childress was one. Croc may have been another. It was some of the guys that were in the WPO, like half of those guys back in the time. As they would be training for the meet, every now and again from some of them, I would hear, I'm too far ahead for where I should be. And then they really pulled back.
Yeah.
And it really messed with my mind.
Yeah.
Right. Cause I'm like, what are you doing that for? You just keep going, then you're going to get more. And they're like, no, it doesn't work that way. Then they always went in healthier and did better.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what you're talking
Yes.
about, that if you can instill that earlier, it would be better.
And really, when it comes to like meet day performance, I don't really say I'm good at stuff because I feel like it's whatever, but I do feel like I'm really good at, especially with the lifters I see in person, is attempt selection. Like whether from like a psychology standpoint, how it's moving, knowing where they're at mentally, how they do at meets, because they do a lot of the meets I hold. So I'm there at all of them. And a lot of my lifters go like 8 for 9, 9 for 9. Like a bad day is almost 7 for 9. And some people might say, oh, you're just being too conservative and you're not really pushing them. But like, if you watch their lifts, like that third attempt they do, maybe they have 5 pounds left, maybe 10. But if they have to grind that shit out, what's that going to do for their bench and deadlift, especially after the adrenaline dump on the squat? Because with a lot of my guys and girls at my gym, they're relatively new. They're all less than 5 years into the sport. So they still have that pressure that they put on themselves. They're not great at like containing things mentally and emotionally. So like they'll squat and then just, if they go too hard on the squat from like a URA standpoint and then just the weight lifted and it takes 6 seconds to finish a lift from point A to point B, their bench is fucked.
Yeah.
And I notice that all the time. Or you watch their opening deadlift and you're just like, should have lowered that shit. And so for me, it's just being around the lifters has helped me a lot from setting their training and their attempts up.
Well, you try to keep your meets fast though, too, right?
Yeah. Like I consider it a failure if we're there past like 4 o'clock.
Starting at 9,
8:30,
8:30, 3 flights,
3 to 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not sessions.
No, we did a session in the last December meet because it was, I think we had like 30 and 25. It was like pro-am, whatever.
Yeah.
But still, they were done by 2 o'clock, 8 to 2. So they still had a pretty long day. Yeah.
Well, because I've been in some to where it would be sessions and say the whole meet's like over in 4.5, 5 hours.
Yeah. Or shorter.
I personally kind of like that.
I love it.
Right.
Especially as a lifter.
Yeah. Well, if you're in shape, it's not a big deal. The other ones are going to have issues and you end up doing better than they do because they suck, because they don't train right.
I was just going to say, it's like, if you know it's a session meet, get in shape.
Yeah.
Like shit. Craig Foster, super heavyweight lifter. Him and Shane used to train for like fucking 5-6 hours. Like they were in shape. They were big dudes. There were guys you think like, okay, they're probably going to crash a little bit. They flew through their shit at the meet and they're always fresh. And I'm only bringing that up too, because they know that's what it's like. So they prepare for the day. Like, unless you sign up for a meet 2 weeks out and be like, oh shit, like this is going to take 3 to 4 hours. There's no excuse. Yeah.
So it's looking at this, it looks like I'm guessing your plans to compete like once a year, right?
Pretty much once, maybe like if more than once, it'll be like in a 10-month time frame at this point.
Okay. So I'm guessing that's because you're kind of physically laying this out because you have this business as well, which has grown, right? So you probably don't want to be training for a meet November, December, January for that 3-month period. So you'll back off, right? And have that be your off season or whatever you want to call it. And is that how you kind of block things out now? Kind of putting the business with?
Yeah. So for me now, it's one of those things with, like, I'm doing a meet June 28th, and that's only 6 months after the December meet. There's no part of me that was like, this is going to be the meet. And I'm just going to be honest here. I'm doing this meet because it's like I don't know if the word's memorial. It's like a memorial meet. There's a guy at my gym, Jeff, he had esophagus cancer. He was a big part of setting up my first meets. Like, I can't move shit. I don't know how to hook up a trailer to a truck. And I owned a truck at the time. So he really made it happen. He was one of the first people in the gym. He just texted me on Instagram, came in when it was cement, dust everywhere, and became a very good friend over the years. So I'm like, and his wife's a big part of the gym and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm going to hold this meet for him. I'm going to change that super classic and just make it his meet, make his business the title sponsor that his wife solely owns now. And I was like, I got to do it. And I don't really care if it's like a PR meet or anything like that. And kind of a mistake on my end when it comes from like a long-term planning, just because even if I'm not getting ready for a meet super quote unquote seriously, it still beats me up. So to answer your question, yes, but I'm not really applying that at the current moment, but I've mapped out the next like year and a half of my life and in terms of athletics and all that. And
well, where I was going to go with that is the meets now matter more.
Yes.
Right? Because it may only be, you may only have 4 left.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm planning this out. So you don't have the room to screw up half of them.
Mm-hmm. And the way I'm kind of approaching this meet now is I'm like light now. I'm always like 210 pounds. And throughout the duration of my powerlifting career, I was always well above 220. Even the meets I was 220, I had to cut a lot of weight. And I just kind of went through a few phases where I'm like, I've always been a fat dude. So I got, yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. And I was like 260 pounds at one point.
Thick, not fat, right? I mean, I'm
okay.
308 super.
Oh, no. Okay. So like I was always hovering
puffy.
25% body.
Yeah.
Like if you look at old pictures of me compared to now, it's like, oh shit, like sumo wrestler Jordan over there. And I never liked that. Like as lame as it sounds, it's like I was able to use that as like, oh, I'm a power lifter. So I was a lot stronger, being bigger and fatter and thicker. But then like when I finally buckled down and got into good shape a few times from like a body fat percentage, I just don't put weight on anymore. Like I can't get fat easy. Like I used to just be able to look at food and just bloat up. And my goal for this meet was like, well, it's just being a big surplus. And I'm actually within striking distance of 198 now. And I think it's because this might be a little bit of bro science, but I think my metabolism's just so on fire all the time now from actually getting to a level of leanness. And I'm not like ripped out all the time or anything, but more than I used to be, where like my body's just like a furnace. Like I have a hard time getting fat.
Yeah. No, that would be
I don't know if you understand what I'm getting at, but
I get it.
And it's just hard for me now to just eat that much food. And I don't know if it's an age thing or what. I guess I'm 35 now.
You could. I mean, it's the weird thing is when you came up, you hit when the sport was kind of growing, where I jotted these numbers down because
I started in 2009.
Yeah, I was.
And my first training partner was Chad Walker, 340 pounds. So like, that's all I was around was these big ass dudes.
Yeah. So I looked on open powerlifting beforehand, and just to give some numbers out here for people, just in general, I don't know if the numbers on open powerlifting, when you have everybody, is global. I'm going to assume it is, because you can go and filter by USA. Yeah. Right. So the last year, just because I'm always curious about this, because the multiply guys still think it's huge, right? So there's always that.
The South will rise again.
Yeah. So the multiply so far this year globally is 186 competitors. Yeah. Right. Last year there was 1049. The unlimited for so far this year, the unlimited's 22K. Right. But you have to pull the Texas high school powerlifting out. Yeah. So when you pull that out, it's 3,500. Right. So the single ply is 1,900. So there's 6,000 ish using gear. Yeah. Right. Then we go with wraps and raw with wraps. Last year was 110. So far this year is around 60. So it's trending to actually be a little bit more than it was last year.
With the wraps?
No. That's adding them both. Raw plus wraps. Right. So it puts them kind of together in there. Then if you break that down to just the USA, it was 26K so far this year. Okay. So now when I go through the dates, I didn't go back to when you started, but you were part of this rise up through here. Because when I say raw with wraps, that's raw sleeves plus because
Yeah.
that's how they filter it, which is probably a
'Cause-
good way because it's all raw.
Yeah, because all the feds back then, it was, if there was a raw division, it would be raw with reps would be raw. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So in 2012, there were 7K in the USA.
Mhm.
I'm just going with the US, 23K globally, 7K in the USA. And then 2013, 10, right, in the USA. 2014, 16. Here comes 2015, 23. 2016, 29. 2017, 32. 2018, 36. 2019, 38. Right. So that's that
Yeah.
jump, right? So that's kind of when you were coming up through this,
Yeah.
is when the popularity of that, it was kind of like shifting, it was growing, but also the single ply was dropping,
Yeah.
right? Because single ply used to make up 80%.
Do you think
Right.
it's because they switched to raw, or do you think it was that much more?
I think they just
Or the-
what do they call that when they move out? They retire, they're
Yeah.
done. Natural attrition.
Mhm.
They just attritiated, if it's
Yeah.
even a word, out. And then 2020, there was a drop, obviously,
Mhm.
down to 21K, 2021, 34. This is why I think people thought the sport was growing
Yeah.
when it really wasn't. It was just returning to back to where it was,
Mhm.
because it did drop. Then it went 21, then 2022, 34, 2022, 44, 23, 48, 24, 46, 25, 41. So it seems to be
Starting to
leveling.
draw- Okay.
It seems to be leveling out, where globally it'd be like 110K or whatever it is. And, but when you were coming in is when the raw laid the foundation.
Yeah. Because at first I was the weird guy. I was the only raw guy at the meets. And in Florida at that time, it was just like multiply meets. And then like Raw United became a Florida based
Yes.
federation. And then all of a sudden in that 2013 timeframe is when it was like, okay, you're not seeing as many of the equipped guys. And then the meets actually started like almost like segregate from each other. So that's kind of like that time frame when I was like coming up.
Yeah. But a lot of I guess where I was going, like the being big, bloated and all that,
Yeah.
it kind of came from the single ply and the multiply, because they could get more out of it because of the leverages. And it took a while for a lot of those tendencies, habits, whatever you want to call it,
And that's just what it was.
to kind of work. Well, what else were you going to go off?
Mhm.
Right. So it took a while for you
Yeah.
guys to figure out what this really needs to move forward to kind of look like,
Yeah.
which was interesting to kind of watch, but it's interesting to see where it is today,
Mhm.
as well, because it's kind of back to where it was in 2018,
Yeah.
right? Is it going to, is it going to go? Is it going to drop? Because it's still not a lot of people, man. If we go on the global number of like 100K,
Yeah.
right? That's the Horseshoe Stadium for Ohio State.
Mhm.
Like every powerlifter globally on open powerlifting from last year can fit in that stadium
Go
and
watch
still
a
have
football
seats
game.
left,
Yeah.
right? It's not a big number, right? So it's interesting, right?
Mhm.
Because I think just like high school football might be 1.2 million kids that played high school
Yeah.
football last year, where we got 34K
Mhm.
raw powerlifting. I mean, if you throw the gear guys in there, it adds like another 1,000.
Mhm.
Not a whole lot. Like I think I figured it out. Like 1 out of every 20 is lifting in single ply or multiply.
That even seems high to me, actually.
It does,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
does. It really does. And you have to assume too, in that capacity, it probably depends on where you're located as well.
Of course,
Yeah.
it's how they come in,
Mhm.
and I used to think that was kind of like a cool thing, but it's not. The more I kind of look at it, it's not real. Like, because if you come in and everybody in there is like using gear, but then you start like looking at open powerlifting, and you realize I probably did overestimate, like 1 out of 100,
Yeah.
use gear. And then you're trying to compare, you only have 184 people to compare with, and hell, they might like that, right? Because if you filter it by your weight class, shit, you're going to be in the top
Fucking awesome.
20 because there's not even 20 in there.
Yeah. And that's almost like the age division shit too. It's like you can filter out like what division, because there's always a crossover that the feds have for like a little bit of extra money. It's like, I'm going to do full power, push pull, bench only, deadlift only. Then you can filter yourself out in open powerlifting. Like, I'm number one in the world at push pull, 181, 60 to 64.
Yep.
And it's funny because when people ask me, I don't even know how we got over here, but when people ask me when they sign up for the meets, like, what's a crossover division? I'm like, how do I explain that? It's like, you're going to pay $50 so you can get this $3 medal. unopposed.
We live in some crazy times right now where there's not a day that I don't go on the internet and I see some BS crap about this research study or this research study. This isn't new. I've been in this industry for 4 decades. One thing that's helped me is 8 years ago, the mass research review started and became a godsend. The mass research team are professional researchers that are also meathead. So they've done this great job of being able to take all these topics and put them into this research review that I get every month. I'm excited to partner with them. I spoke with Eric Helms about this on the podcast. It's simple, it's easy. They're offering a 20% discount to all podcast listeners. The code is elitefts20. When you join, you get the research review, which is going to be sent to you every single month that has 7 to 9 articles in there. The archive, which is 1,500 articles, thousands of videos. Just head over to massresearchreview.com and use the code elitefts20. The link will be in the description.
Just a great way for me to get a little more revenue for the meat.
Well, I guess if you really wanted to sell it, right?
Yeah.
You could say, well, it will allow you to be in this filtered division.
Yes.
On open
and
powerlifting.
maybe get a world record and whatever.
Yeah, and you'll rank higher.
And what's funny is, and someone's asked, and it actually makes a lot of sense if you don't really know better. Some people think they're supposed to bench like twice in one meet, like take 6 attempts.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I had to explain to like a master's lifter one, like, yeah, that totally makes sense in theory, but that's not what it is, man.
You imagine if you had to do that?
Well,
sometimes though, it can give you, now when you came into the sport, if you didn't make your squats, were you still allowed to bench, or did you have to enter the bench division to be able to do that?
To me, it seemed like it was they just put you in the bench. And because like a lot of the meets were kind of local meets. I guess I did bomb out when I tore the pec, but I was never in that spot where like I had the opportunity to figure that out, luckily.
That's probably good.
Yeah. But from what I noticed, when I saw a lot of the newer guys bomb on squat or even bomb on bench, because whatever reason, they'd show up for the next lift. And then, because when you don't know any better, like, oh, I thought like you weren't allowed to do the rest of the meet, but they probably didn't even pay to go in the crossover mid-meet, but meet director did them a favor. They still got to finish and just have some fun.
Is that a standard rule? Like if you miss a lift, like you bomb out, you're not allowed to go to the next event?
It used to be.
Yeah.
Because
so
it's
like,
kind of up to the meet director, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And for me, like, I'll be honest, like,
that's if you miss all 3 of the lifts.
Yeah.
So if you get your opener squat, then you miss your second or third,
Mm-hmm.
you're still moving through.
Okay. So you just can't completely miss.
Yeah. So if you miss all 3 squats, you technically bomb out of the meet. You can't have a total. But since the meet director can kind of just go in the program and be like, all right, well, let's just put you in bench only or push pull so you can have some fun and do the meet and not make your family go home and be pissed off about it.
Hey, there's an interesting question because you're a meet director.
Yeah.
There are a few years that I ran the IPA Nationals, and if you bombed out, you bombed out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the way the rules were. But what happened a lot of times is there would be so many bomb outs from the squat and the bench that by the time the deadlift came around, we'd have 3 flights and now we're down to 1.
Yeah.
Like the one time we were down to 7 freaking people. And it's like, this is crazy, man. Where if you would have just let those other guys continue, you could have kept close to the same order.
Yeah.
Because I just started bringing in more than I thought we
so
could
what
handle.
would you do now?
Well, what I did back then is if I was cutting the meat off at 50, I'm like, fuck, 20 are going to bomb out. So I'm just going to bring in 65 and hope that a bunch of them bomb out so the meat doesn't go forever.
Yeah.
And it worked like that. It worked. But
there was a meet in West Palm Beach. Chad Walker did it. I think it might have been WPO Worlds or not WPO. Maybe. What's the other branch?
WPC?
Yeah, WPC maybe. And like a lot of the meets you'd go to with multiply lifting, like a lot of borderline higher squats like that, you'd never see that many bomb outs. But they were judging that day, like nothing like I've ever seen before. It was 2013. And Chad was one of the lifters that's been known to be the guy that at least hits depth-ish in multiply gear. And he bombed out. And it wasn't just him. It was like almost the whole fucking flight. And I just remember thinking like, holy shit, like there's all that red on the screen. What happens now? He didn't bench, and I don't think they let any of them. So I think that was the same concept, because I think we left after that. He just went and gotten some food. And yeah, I wish I would have paid attention down
Yeah,
there.
well, that happened the one time. I just remember the one time it happened to me, because we literally went from, I think there were sessions, so we had 2 flights. So we went from 30 lifters down to 7. And then, yeah, for the deadlifts. And then it was more like, hey, look, you all pull your openers, then let me know when you're ready.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to do this.
That's probably what I would do. I'd probably just say, like, hey, the meet shortened up a lot. As long as we're not on a tight schedule, you got to have some quality of fun and fair. I don't know if the word's fairness for the lifter, even though if that's how it is, that's how it is. Like if we have a meet where it's not a huge turnout and the flight's like 8 lifters, I'm like, hey, look, after lifter 8, 3-minute timer, then we'll go on to the next one. So probably something like that.
The other thing I remember from that meet was, because a lot of the benches bombed, and this is when the bench shirts were in this like gangster phase. And I was 290, 300 or whatever the time. So I'm lazy as fuck. I don't want to bend over. Judges' chairs suck. So I just left it on red and threw it on the floor. And I only had to bend over twice to pick up the light thing to switch it to white.
Yeah, the bench is, I always look at the bench on the screen when I'm running meets, because it's almost like a joke I have with my mom too, because she's been at every meet and she runs my score table. And she always says, like, well, first of all, bench is boring. It's like, that's like the lunch break for the spectators. But then you look at the third attempts and it's just like, why are all these people missing? So like with the equip lifting aspect, it's more of like a technical thing. Where, you know, maybe they're opening too heavy, can't touch, can't lock out. But nowadays it's like, it's just the attempt selection, and it's just red. I mean, they're not bombing out like we're talking about, but just in terms of seconds and thirds on bench, it just seems so fucked up.
So just not locking out or just getting crushed?
Usually getting crushed. And it's always the females. And what I think it is, and luckily I was able to pick up on this pretty quick, like even before I really coaching a lot of lifters, when you have like random dudes coaching their girlfriends, what do they do? Like, oh, just 20-pound jump, 15-pound jump. But if their bench is 148 pounds, 14.8 pounds is 10%. You like the general rule of thumb, if you're a chick, unless like I really know that you can make that 11-pound jump, it's like you're going up 2.5 kilos, because we don't want a whole bunch of missed attempts. Because is missing 5.5 pounds going to ruin your total? No, because it's the smallest part of your total. But is that going to ruin the mental aspect going into deadlifts? Like,
well, you just made a huge point, because it's, Louis used to get on her shit because Amy Weisbrenner would be training with us sometimes, and she'd smoke a lift. It's like, just throw a fucking dime on, right? And he'd be like, hey, you dumbasses. That would be the same as you throwing 45 pounds on. Are you going to do that on your next set? And it's like the percent thing. It's like,
it's always the guys that are just coaching their girlfriends for the first meet. Nothing against them. They mean well, obviously.
Yeah.
But they don't look at it from like that math standpoint, I guess. It's the Chinese in me, right?
Yeah. Well, math. The math doesn't math.
Yeah. Because again, like you just said, if you're a 400-pound bencher, 360 to 400, that's 40 pounds, that's 10%. Female, if they bench 150, that's 15 pounds. And that's even 10% is a big jump for us if you're just a 400-pound bencher. Can it be done? Probably, but that's going to ruin your next attempt if it's first and second.
Yeah, unless you're opening super light, right? And that's interesting. So it's with the judging, right? So how do I want to frame this? Because what here's, I got 2 thoughts, right?
Yeah.
There's the one thought to where what you'll see online, right? You'll see these high squats and shit like that. And what I wonder is like, what are they using as the gauge? Literally, like you'll hear somebody like back, like up.
Yeah.
Like what cued you to say up there, right? Because it's, if we were to look at it, it's highest. Fuck, like, and somebody called up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious, like, what was the mark to be able to make you say up? But the other part of that whole thing is that's one lift in isolation. You didn't see all the other ones from that meet, so it may not even be real.
Yeah.
Right. But how do you, when these things get called out, and it happens less today, the lifter's always the one that takes the brunt of it.
Yeah.
I think it should be the meet director that takes the brunt of it. because that's the person that can make the change,
Mhm.
right? Putting the other, you can't, I guess you call a judge out, but how are you going to know who the judge is?
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times it's a volunteer or whatever it's going to
Mhm.
be. But if you call the meat director out, then the standards,
Mhm.
how do you think that the standards can stay the standard?
Consistency over time. Does that make sense? Like if you're going to hold more than one meet, the stand, like people are going to know what to expect, right? But that's also assuming they only do your meets. So it's kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
see?
Yeah. See, like that came out so slowly because I was like, I think I'm answering what he's asking, but then I think I realized I was. But again, your reaction, it's like there's no right answer because again, it's going to vary meet to meet. So with that, because we're just talking about the judging aspect, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, see, the judging's it's a weird ass thing, right? Because
a lot of it's pretty subjective.
it's very, yes,
Yeah.
because you got different body types, you got different
Mhm.
femur lengths, you have all these different variables that if you were to make a video, like
Mhm.
here's how to judge the squat. Well, now you need a Craig Foster, then you need a real thin 6-foot person.
And then you need like a flared out wide straight down squatter.
Yes. Right.
Because
So
it all looks different.
yes.
Mhm.
So how do you explain the judging to the people that you have judged
Mhm.
so you can keep that consistency?
So luckily for me, the most of the judges I have, they've been around for a bit. So like the Trevors of the world, and even the judges that people have never really seen before, they've been at my gym judging or what's the word, shadowing and then becoming judges. So they kind of get it. And what I always tell people too, it's like, if you're around people lifting a lot, you know what's depth and what's not. It's one of those things where the body type matters, but if you, I guess I'm kind of fucking up now because there's no right answer.
I know.
Yeah, I
it's
can't figure it out because I was gonna say if you see someone lift all the time and they hit depth, and then you watch them squat and you know that looks a little different because it was like just a tad higher, they slow down at the hole. But then again, as a judge, you're not seeing all these lifters lift all the time. So in the whole anatomical thing, like the hip joint, knee stuff, like that's a little weird too. So it's almost like you just have to have your interpretation of depth, make sure it's consistent and at least 80% correct. Just stick to it.
the first
I guess I don't know
judging.
how to answer it.
The first
I
judging
actually
thing.
have something.
Yeah.
Why don't they ever, I mean, like in sports, you see so many like small cameras on people's hats and they're like super jittery, but it's at least something. Like, is it more of a budget thing? Because I feel like if there was at least one angle like close by or
It's
something,
still dicey because you can
at least like,
Because people are always going to
look back
argue like,
at it.
oh, okay, so MJ Greeno, he wore meta glasses. I had a judge pull out last minute at King of the Platform. He came down with his girlfriend. So he judged for me, right? And he wore them not for, I think it was just more curiosity purposes, just because knowing him, you know how he is. And even watching some of the replays there, it's like, I saw one in person. It didn't look that bad. And then you watch on the glasses and it's like, okay, that was fucking high. Or like vice versa. And with the whole like
but
technology,
him
aspect of
standing up and
replays,
somebody sitting down is
That's-
going to change the angle.
well, he was doing it while judging.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we weren't using it as like a barometer at all.
Yeah.
It was just more of like, there was one instance where this guy, he wasn't very happy with the call and he blamed it on, it was kind of a personal thing, I think, but MJ posted his squat. I don't know if the word's passive aggressive. It was just kind of like indirectly, like he made a little collage or some shit. And it's like, okay, that looked pretty high. But like from the angle that guy posted, it's like, that looked good. And I guess it's another instance where I'm not really answering the question, but I don't think there's a right answer.
No, it's well,
Because the squat, like,
where I think the
exercise-
right answer would be is if you go back in history,
Mhm.
when the first judging card I had was USPF. So it was the APF was kind of around, but I didn't know because I was younger. And I had to shadow for 5 or 6 meets with somebody that had a national referee.
Yeah.
Right. So then they're explaining, you know, why this call was here, why this call is there. And you're kind of picking that up because you can't get this card unless you shadowed for these number. It's all a pain in the ass, right? It seriously a huge pain in the ass to be able to do it, but nobody would be able to do it. It wouldn't work today.
Yeah.
Because nobody would do it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so it ends up being what it is.
And while the subject of this topic, it's not related directly to what we're talking about, but one thing I've noticed trend wise is most of the time at the quote unquote higher level meets, no matter you very rarely get the disputes, because I feel like a lot of the guys and girls that have been around for a while, they know, like, even if it's close, like they know, like, it's up for interpretation. And you have like the newer lifters that they throw a fucking fit if they don't have a lift. Like we have a guy, I don't, he'll probably never do a meet again with me, but he's like a 70-year-old guy, kind of like a record fed chaser type dude. And every time he misses a lift, you throw a fucking fit. And he sent me a video the day of a meet, the last meet I held with his lift that he said should have passed. And it's like, clear, like you slow it down. It's clear up and down, hitch, a little bit of a hitch. He took a step, and what's funny is in the video, you couldn't really see the step well, but like he got 3 reds. And he's just like, oh, you guys are shitty judges and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, like if 3 people give you the same red light for 1 to 3 of the same reasons, like, because there's 3 infractions, how are they wrong? Like
well,
statistically speaking.
Yeah, I think most lifters don't know what the deadlift rules are.
Yeah.
Because to me, that was always harder to judge than the squat.
It's the easiest. The squat, I feel like, is the hardest just because of the subjectivity with the depth. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, the squat becomes hard because what is the federation's interpretation of that? Is it to be parallel or to break parallel? Right? Because when it's to break parallel, it's going to be called different. Because when I was trained in that, you had to, without a question, know it broke. Where that's different than even.
I just want to take a moment to let you know about our crew. What our crew is, it allows the show to stay independent, and it's the reason why the podcast is still here now. The podcast is free to listen to, but it's not free to produce. It keeps going because of the sales through elitefts, our show sponsors, but more importantly, our crew members. The reason I love this is for many reasons, is it keeps the show independent. So I can pick who I want to speak to. I can pick what topics I want to speak to, and I don't have to be accountable to anybody. I just go off what the crew members want and what the audience wants, and I don't have to deal with all the other bullcrap that's associated with the podcast world. In return, what you get with the crew is ad-free episodes that are released a day ahead of time. You get access to our Discord community, which has AMAs, like 60 ebooks. We try to put a new ebook out every single month. Access to our coaching community with form checks, training Q&As. It also gives you invitations to our training retreats that are out here in the gym once or twice a year. 76% of all the people that joined in 2022 are still members now. Right now, you can either go month to month or get 2 months free with an annual plan. Just look for the link in the description, look at the QR code, or search elitefts.com crew and join today. It means a lot.
Yeah. See, to me, again, no one's going to stop it exactly parallel. It's got to be like, it's like playing a movie on fast and hitting pause at the right time. Like, you don't know. But typically when people say they're parallel, it's usually a little above or like just high. And when it's below, it's a lot easier to interpret it. But I also think parallel is kind of a weird thing to gauge that depth off of.
Well, for Craig, it would be very hard.
Oh, yeah. So one thing that he'd always go by is just hit the hole so fast to make the judge have to second guess it. Because if they second guess it, usually you're going to get the white.
Well, if I was judging him, I'd look at his hip joint to his knee. And that's all I would look at.
It's also good luck.
Yeah. It's going to be fast.
It's tough. And again, I don't really know where we're going final with this conversation, but someone of that build or the reputation. So if someone's known to like kind of be borderline, the judges look a little closer. And I think that's what's gotten him in the past too. So he'd always be that like fine line. It's like, fuck, how do you judge this guy? And there's that aspect in it being like the biggest squad of the meet. So the eyes are a little closer, because I've seen plenty of meets where the judges are great. Let's just say all the judges are great through 5 meets, just using Craig again as an example. It's never consistent with his white or red lights. And you never know what's going to happen.
No, that's the frustration. As long as, I guess where I would go with this is, as long as for that meet, it's consistent for everybody that's competing.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to let them 4 inches high, then you let everybody 4 inches high. If you're going to make them go 4 inches lower, then everybody has to do that.
That's the biggest issue, is the consistency amongst the flights and the lifts in one given meet. Because it does suck when you see, because you can't really argue with the lifter, right? Like sometimes if a lifter does that thing, which I would never do this, but you're like, whoa, that guy over there, this happened, mine didn't. Why is that? And it's just like human error, dude. There's 9 attempts a day per lifter. Like you got the bad lottery ticket today. I'm sorry. Or maybe you got the good one because maybe you're the one that got something passed.
Do you think first time powerlifters like in a meet, do you think they have almost an advantage? Because you were saying that if someone is known to be notoriously high or something, they kind of have more of a reputation. The judges might look a little closer. Do you think like since a newbie would come in, they have
I wouldn't say that's an advantage, only because in those scenarios like I referred to, they're doing the meets that they always do. So it's always like the higher level pro meet. So it's like a newer guy is never going to do that one because they don't have the qualification, I guess.
Now, if somebody in their first, if somebody's doing their first meet and it's in your meet, you'll have, your judges will pay a little more attention to them, you know, and explain if they missed, why they missed.
Yeah. And especially if they ask questions, and that's what they should all do. Like whether, like preferably not like combatively, like get defensive of it, just like, hey, like what'd I do wrong? And then hopefully if they're a receptive lifter, they can learn from that and then just do better. Because in the beginning, like you're not going to be awesome at powerlifting. Like it's just not plausible unless you're like a freak. So just use those first couple of years as a learning experience from the judges, the flow of the meet, the warm-ups. And maybe this can transition to the next topic. Like I feel like newer lifters, they fall into this thing where it's like they see guys like me or whoever, oh, I'm just going to do one meet a year. It's like, no, dude, like look at my open power. It's 4 to 5 meets a year. And I think that's what benefited me so good because people, and I don't know if this is the internet thing or people try to sell coaching or programming. There's no such thing as, in my opinion, there's no such thing as a meet prep in the beginning of your career. Everything's a meet prep because you're just getting stronger. So just do the reps on the platform, get that experience. Like you really think a guy that's going to total 1100 needs a hypertrophy phase, strength phase, peak phase, or whatever the shit's been labeled as now? Like, no, definitely not. Like just do a heavy set of 5 for a week or 2 and then just kind of peak up and see where you're at. And yeah, so what I'm getting with that is just newer lifters, I think you should compete more.
You know, they need to learn how to compete.
Yes. And just from like, dude, even as something as simple as like the warm-up room, like, especially if you're doing a variety of different meets, like you have to be ready for the timing. You have to be able to figure out how to pay attention to the stuff. It's the little things that I've noticed that people have trouble with that I overlook because I've been around so long. And luckily for me, I do feel like I'm good at figuring stuff out like that on the fly and just catching on and adapting to things. But I also got lucky because I trained with the best guys in the world of that era coming up and I was competing alongside those guys. So like I was always in a good environment to learn from.
So you didn't have to figure it out per se. They're just telling you where to go, what to do.
Kind of, yeah. Or I would just pay attention back there. And that's another thing. New lifters, they just don't pay attention. Especially now, like they just kind of go back there, fuck around. Like even set up cameras in the warm-up room. It's like, how about we just focus on getting on a foam roller before you go to the bar first?
Yeah.
But
so you see that a lot.
Oh yeah, a lot.
Because I wonder about that because
I don't know if the word's ignorance or if it's just like they expect things, because it could be everyone has a coach now, right? So they're always told what to do in training, especially in the beginning, where they don't really have to think for themselves and there's no like critical thinking. Like even warm-ups, like how do I warm up? It's like, what?
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's like, I don't know. You fucking go till you feel good and don't waste your energy. I guess it's just the stuff where you and I would think is common sense. Maybe it's not, or maybe it is, but maybe it's just not being exposed to them enough.
Well, I wonder because I'm big into this auto regulation thing. So if we're to take any your 3 weeks out or something like that now. So your last heavy squat day, you probably made like 5 decisions before you even got to the gym.
Oh yeah.
And then as you're warming up, you're making another 10 different decisions on what jumps to be able to take.
Yeah.
And if all of that, if everything was regimented from the very beginning, where here's your sheet. You need to do this, this, and that's all you ever do because that's what you're told to do. You don't develop the skill
Yeah.
that you have now to be able to make all those micro decisions. There's decisions you're making you don't even know you're making.
Yeah. And like, if you're going to use that last heavy squat day, like it depends on how your training's set up or like how you think of things, but usually it's like second attempt-ish or some shit. They have to hit it 2 weeks out. There's always like a magic thing for people. But if you're like under recovered, not feeling good, like instead of being like, I need to hit this number, and it's like, let's just go down 5-10%, and it still feels hard like that should have been, you're probably getting the same out of it. And if you're sticking to that sheet or sticking to that plan where you need to force that number, whether you grind it out, fuck yourself up, or completely miss it, which is going to be a mind fuck, you are probably taking away from your meat rather than just adjusting on the fly.
Yeah. Well, see, one plate may not feel like one plate.
Oh,
so
no.
then you'll do it twice.
Yes.
Or 3 times before you go up, right? That's a learned skill.
Yeah. And that's something I tell people a lot. It's just, if you're warming up and it feels like shit, just do it again. Like there's no way doing 2 to 3 sets with the bar or one plate for someone that's, let's just say 400, that's not going to take energy out of their system. And if if that is the case, I think there's a bigger problem there.
Well, the flip side of that is then they have to be mentally strong enough to, if they get to a meet, they may not be able to do that.
Yeah, because
you may
blow the warm-up room and stuff like that. Yeah. These little things, it's funny we're talking about it. You don't really think of things until like you're verbalizing it and you have to look at it from all the points of view. But yeah, you're right. Because sometimes if a warm-up room is crowded, you can't be like, hey, let's take these 4 plates off the bar because my hip's shifting to the left.
Yes, you can. You just have to. Sometimes I wonder if the warm-ups even matter, because I'm sure you've had meets that you've warmed up and you wait 45 minutes until your first attempt.
Exactly. And that's, again, if a meet's ran like it's usually ran, like, you know how not to do that, but shit happens.
Yeah.
I remember the first meet I did, there was 785 at 220. So it was like a third attempt. It was the first world record I hit. And then Brian Curl and all those guys like, dude, just load 800 pounds for a 4th attempt. And I'm like, I guess, like the adrenaline dumped. I'm like, it moved really well. I don't know. But then what happened is it was a multiply meet. Joe Jordan went ahead of me and he fell or something. He was hurt. He was on the ground for a long time. I think it was him. Or maybe he was helping someone, but he was there. And it was like 30 minutes before I got to go. And I'm like, all right, well, there goes this. I guess I'll still do it since they loaded it. But like, I knew going in, I was like, I'm going to unrack this bar and it's going to feel like terrible. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So shit happens. So you have to be able to, where I'm going with this is I think they stick to the coach's designated plan too much.
I agree. And then on the flip side, someone's going to hear this and be like, yeah, like if I'm feeling awesome, I'm just going to keep going up and up. So they have to really figure out when to push, when to pull on their own, but when it's intelligent to do so.
Well, if it was you, right, and you were in that position where it's feeling really good and you think that you can go up higher, right, you probably wouldn't. But if you were to consider that,
I would have.
Back in the day, but if you're smart, you're going to think, now, if I do this, how's it going to change? My deadlift, that may be 2 days after this.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
so you're
exactly
making
what
those decisions, right? So is this worth doing this? Because my deadlift sucks right now and I really need that to work.
Yeah. Like with my squat, there's a lot of times where it feels terrible. Like I just know it's not going to be a good day. So sometimes, and again, it's one of those things that might just be a bitch, it might be intelligent, a little bit of both, where I'll go to like 4 reds, so 496. And I'm like, okay, this 705 for 3 is not happening today. Like you just know, or maybe you could force it, who knows? But for me, it's like, I'm confident enough in myself where I can like miss a squat week essentially and come back and do well the next week when I need to for the meet. But at the same time, I'm also thinking of the future training sessions that week too, because you don't want that domino effect of your whole week sucking because you made that one shit decision out of ego or pride 2 days earlier. And that's how I really handle my own game day decisions, even on accessory work. Like, okay, like I got 2 hard sets on something like the hack squat today. My knees are killing me, just does not feel good. Am I really going to go backwards by just reducing the weight 50% or even skipping it altogether? No, it's probably going to help me. But again, it's that fine line of like, am I just being a bitch or am I making an intelligent decision?
Well, that's the skill you got to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that will go back to,
and that's why it's so important these lifters start thinking for themselves and doing it longer than a few years if they actually want to be good at it. Because what happens, I feel like, is these lifters, they're so guided from the beginning, which is going to have its pros, but obviously have its cons, like we're talking about. And they kind of get to this point between that 3 and 5 year mark, if they're lucky, where it just gets super hard and they don't know how to like be self-aware and think for themselves. And then just all goes to shit. And it almost like ruins your experience with the sport.
Well, I think it's critical because you can see that in your own path here.
Yeah.
Right. So you hit that one spot and it becomes really, really hard to get stronger. Mm-hmm. And the game really isn't even about getting stronger at that point anymore. It's about displaying the strength to your best of your ability every time you go out. And it's a different game.
Mm-hmm. Because depending where you're at, depending on who you are, there's phases in powerlifting, if you want to call it a career. If we use like an easy number of 10 years, which is well above the average in my opinion. Well, not my opinion. I think that's a fact.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. There's going to be a point where it's like, it's not your training, dude. It's your lifestyle now. And we talked about this last time where for me, I got so ingrained in that because it fell off so hard when I wasn't able to kind of put everything together, like outside of the gym, where I'm like, I'm so doubled down on that. I'm like going into my training sessions, like nonchalantly, and you got to find that balance between like training hard, recovering, and just doing things most of the time. And that's going to be better than going all in on one aspect. Like for some people it's nutrition or sleep or quote unquote recovery, whatever, however you
So
want.
how do you balance that now that your gym's expanded? Because you've moved into 3 times bigger footprint?
2 times.
2.
But so with me, with the actual gym for me, luckily it kind of runs on its own because it's 24/7 keep, but I still have to be there. I train sessions. I have a whole bunch of people online. I have a lot of things I do. And for me, it's just time blocking like we talked about in the beginning. But for me, the struggle is being able to go from here to here and just be good to train. Because with the training aspect for me, it's like everyone thinks like, oh, you're going to gym, like you can just work out whenever you want and it's so much easier.
Yeah, but you're there all the time.
It's so much harder, man. Like if I had a hard job outside of the gym and I had to drive there, do this, the gym would be so much easier for me than being at the gym and coaching a bunch of people.
I understand 100%.
And even when I started, I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome for my powerlifting. Like I'm going to be fucking at the gym all day. I can on my own schedule. But then if you want to prioritize your business as well and make it successful and make sure everyone around you is doing well, like there's a lot of different hats you wear. And it's being able to take one off and put one on and sticking with that hat for that given period of time.
So you train in the morning or at night?
It really depends now. I very rarely train at night, but it's either at like 7, 8 in the morning or like.
See, that's good though, because you can go in and get it. You can go in with the lifter of mind.
So I'm a little lucky, right? I have a guy, Sam, he's a 72-year-old dude. And he's just the dude that's like, I just need you here. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I just pay you. So I show up. Like been with him since 2017 in person. So I can really just, on some of my days, he's my 7:30 to 8:30 pretty much every day. So I start my training session at 7. He walks in between sets, I'm like, hey, just go do this 3 times. And he's totally cool with it. Is that going to happen? No, definitely not. So those are my early sessions. And those are the lighter ones where I know it's just like an hour and a half, like my bench accessory or whatever. But yeah, dude, that's fucking great to get it out of the way. But usually like my main days, I need a little more time and structure. So I have to push that to like 11, 12, 1, 2. And then I have to manage that with, okay, this day I have to go pick up my kid from camp or school and make it back here for this, get her to gymnastics. So I have to be very strategic on when I actually get underneath the bar, warm up and leave. And I guess my answer to your question is it depends on the time in the session and how long I know I need for that session.
There's a lot of times
and it's fucking tough, dude.
I'm
up at 4 a.m. So it's like a 7-hour workday before I get into the bar and then I got to go right back to quote unquote work, if you want to call it that.
Yes. What I found is if it's like Saturday and Sunday, it's the first thing I do so it's nothing works. I'm not working before.
Yeah.
But when I would train at night, I would have to just leave and drive around the block or something, just get out to be able to come back in because your head's like stuck in work.
It's like brain fog.
It's fucked up. I mean, like you could just be working. I just remember the story of your daughter. gave her that bad impression
Oh,
by using
fuck.
that.
I said, fuck.
Yeah.
She's worse
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So it's all because of me. And but to be able to break out and come back, because you could be working on like freaking ads or some crap, and you're in like ad headspace.
Yeah.
Like, it's time to train. You can't get out of ad headspace to be able to train. It's rough, man.
And then it's funny because you get so used to that. So my Saturdays, I squat in the morning. It's very rare where I have a session where I'm working before like 8:30 on a Saturday, but it happens. But sometimes I feel lost. I'm like, what am I going to do for the next 2-3 hours when I wake up before I go squat? Because I'm so used to doing something. So it's like, okay, I guess I'll eat now, get to the gym early, and then you just look for something to do. I mean, that's how it is for me, at least. It's
Boy, that can be tricky, right? Because
Yeah.
you can do like emails. You can do like small crap.
because you want to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And then it's like, shit, now I can't get too locked in with this aspect because now it's getting hard to switch back to the gym. So really for me, I think it's just a matter of the whole non-negotiable mindset of like, okay, for these 3 hours, fuck everything else. I'm just going to focus on the lifting.
You're being lied to about strength training. I know because I've been watching this happen for over 40 years, and it's gotten worse, not better. When I got online in the late 90s, the people that were being sold this crap were the same people that I grew up and trained with. Serious lifters, coaches, and people who just wanted to get strong. So I started writing articles and answering questions. My wife Tracy set up the business and we borrowed $1,000 to put up a website and go to work. That was 1998. Elite FTS was never about building a brand. It was about fixing a problem. The equipment, the articles, the coaching, all of it exists because the people who needed the real information deserve better than what they were getting, and they still do now. If you train, if you coach, if you've ever been handed something that didn't work by someone who didn't know what they were talking about, Elite FTS was built for you.
So was the move to the bigger place was it what you thought, or did it bring other headaches? There's always headaches, but were there unexpected ones?
In the beginning, I wouldn't even call it a headache. So when the pec tear happened, it was funny because I came here. It's like, oh, I'm going to go do this podcast with Dave and probably talk about the meet I just did. Hopefully I don't suck at it. And the goal is I'm probably going to expand the gym this year. This was 2023. And I think what happened right before I came on here, along with the pec stuff, I get a phone call that the expansion is not happening because the person signed the lease 15 minutes before it was going to expire at the location I was going to. So I kind of got fucked. I was paying 50% more for such a small space with way less members. So I had to get through that for a full year, but I was able to lock in that expansion 11 months ahead of time. So I was able to prepare for it. Like I knew I was going to have to save up some money, get more equipment, figure out the logistics of it. And just with the location aspect of it, the membership grew so much where I can't even call it a stressor because it's like the whole gym master thing. They sign up online, key fob, and they're able to get in. And it actually became less of a stressor because I wasn't worried about money anymore. I'll just be honest. Like I went from year over year from January 2024 to 2025. It went up a little bit because the expansion was at the end, but 2025 to 2026, I think my revenue went up 140%. And my margins for a gym are really fucking high compared to what I've heard other owners talk about. So like that stress aspect was a lot easier. And
so when you're looking at this, you came as a personal trainer. So how did you develop the business mindset to be able to just know your numbers, right?
Yeah, I've always been wired that way. And like sometimes people make a comment like, oh, because my dad, funny enough, my mom and dad, they came down from upstate New York, opened a Chinese restaurant in the small town. So like they owned a business, but I didn't really understand that. But like from a young age, I've always been into the game of, and I don't know if it's even necessarily making money. I kind of always thrive on like little games where like you can always get better at something. There's no like cap to it. And I think that's why I kind of like powerlifting so much because it was like an individual thing. But from the business standpoint, in 4th grade, I got in trouble because I used to have my parents buy me gel pens from Sam's Club for like $20 a case. And I would be selling for $2 a pop. And I got in trouble for doing that. So I've always been in that like mindset of like playing the game, figuring out how to do better. So from a business aspect, when I became a personal trainer at the commercial gym in 2017, I didn't understand, like, first of all, I didn't want to do it. Someone just kind of recommended it to me. I was like, I guess I'll fucking try it. And I'm glad I did because it's where I'm at now. But I made friends with the personal training manager who was very like sales oriented. He really understood business. So I just hung out with him all the time and I took an interest in it. So it was almost like on the job training for 3 years before COVID happened and I opened my own place up. And since I was able to be in that environment, I was able to adapt that. And someone like me, when I become interested in something, I do the whole thing where I just exhaust all my resources. Like I will listen to hours and hours of videos and podcasts. And even if I only get a little bit of value from 1 minute out of that hour, it's a huge win because it can go a long way. And
Well, with a lot of business owners, or a lot of gym owners, I'll say, they're throwing their receipts in a shoebox.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to read a P&L. They have no idea what
Yeah.
a P&L is, so let alone figuring out any return on investment for marketing spends
yeah.
and all those things.
And then for me too, like I was kind of like that. I was just kind of winging it. And since I was doing okay, you think you're doing it right. And for me, it's not the big like failures that are like, okay, I got to get better. It's when I realize if I go from here to here, but if I just did this little thing, I could have went from here to all the way up there. Then that's when I'm like, okay, like that's where that's like the aha moment for me. Like for me, it's like one example is personal training, right? So I own the gym now. When I met you, I didn't have personal trainers at the time. I had like one, they'll give me some money to like train people there. I'm like, yeah, just give me fucking $50 or some shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. The gym I worked at before, they had a personal training team. All transactions came through the gym. Then they got paid out a percentage. So I adapted that model. So it's more of because when we get into, and I don't know if you can relate because you never owned a gym, but you worked at one, but like at a high. So I feel like a lot of people in my situation that come from personal training at a gym, they want to do this thing where they're like, I don't want to be like all those other gyms because it's lame, but those gyms are gyms for years for a reason because they know how to make money. And just because, let me back up. You don't need that environment to be able to adapt those same business systems in your gym. And that's what I figured out really quick. So I almost have the commercial gym PT model without like the dudes in collared shirts trying to sell everyone something. But I was able to go from X amount of revenue to a lot more revenue employing that personal training model. And then I reward the trainers based on their productivity and stuff like that. It's like a sliding scale. And that was the big game changer for the gym revenue wise.
We're coming from that because I managed the trainers and was a trainer.
Yeah.
Right? And I was fortunate that I was able to leverage a lot of things to be able to get a percent they shouldn't have paid, right? Because they were losing money on me.
Yeah.
Right. So, but they were making money on the trainers. And if it was me in that position, I wouldn't have paid me what I was making. Right.
No.
Because it was
You as a training manager, right?
yes.
So
Because
where I was, that's where I was. So I walked in there as a trainer, not really understanding business at all. And I don't even want to call myself a trainer. They gave me some stupid ass certification. I just kind of got thrown on the floor. I didn't know the fuck I was doing. And as I started to figure things out, I was like, wow, this is a lot of money. Like they're collecting $40K a month in PT revenue and then paying out the commission. They're paying the training manager a salary plus bonuses and a higher percentage for their sessions they're allowed to train. Well, unfortunately, I got thrown into that role because I was just the tenure. I was the one there with like brains, right? I'll just be honest. And then all the trainers started to leave because like the life of a personal trainer isn't very high because we talked about this before. Yeah. They think you just go in and you make a bunch of money. And they realize that's not how it is. So our PT team went from like 7 high performers to like me and a couple average performers, if I'm being courteous. They weren't, but I'll just say that. And I got stuck with all the clients with the other trainers left. So I'm getting paid the PTM, the personal training manager's salary, plus the bonuses on top of a 20% increase in session pay. So I don't give a shit about selling training for the so like you said, I shouldn't be making this money at all. And I think they started to figure it out, but then COVID happened and then I got forced to make that shift anyways. And if COVID didn't happen, I have no idea where I'd be right now. I'm so glad that happened.
Well, it was interesting for when I was in that position because I knew, like, I know what they're paying, right? And I know what I'm bringing in, and it's, you know, it's 10% over,
Yeah.
you know, which I'm all great for, right? It's perfect. And so it did one good thing, I guess, for them. It kept me there because the thoughts of me leaving to be able to start my own place, it's like, I'm not going to make the same as what I'm making here. And I guess they're making money on the other trainers, but the other trainers would leave because they're getting 50% or 60%. And they're thinking, well, if I go over here and I'm going to get 100%, and it's like, that doesn't work that way. You go open your place over there, you're going to have to pay the rent.
Yeah.
They're,
And that's where people, I feel like they have that false sense of reality when it comes to numbers, because they go open up their own place and like, you're doing the same shit with 3 times the stress, doing the same job. And now you're probably making less money, because to make the same amount of money, and I'm talking about like a personal trainer, let's just say, what's a gym? Like LA Fitness. I don't know. Let's say they're making $75K a year, which is a lot of sessions under that model. Like that's like,
a lot.
It's a fucking lot. And even if you charge the same rate or even 5% more and keep it all, you still have the rent. You still got the power bill. You still have everything else to worry about. And then if you want to,
well, the other thing that they don't consider is when they're in the gym like that, their leads are given to them.
Yes.
If they're in their own place, right?
And I was just thinking about this the other week when I'm thinking, because I was talking to Paulo and Need about some things, and with our gym, it's not very sales based. And I think organically the gym kind of is known as like, I don't know if it's like a results based gym, but people just get coaching there. So I never really have to play the sales guy. And I'm very lucky for that, because I don't think I'm that good at it. And I'm almost just like a cash register. If someone wants training, I'm like, okay, this is how much it is. This is what you'll get out of it. This is, and they pay for it. I never have to like, all right, Dave, come in here. Here's the park queue. I'm going to make you feel like shit about yourself.
No, that's going to be nice, because you had to do that before.
Oh yeah. Right. And even when I did that there, I got okay at it, but I always felt
dirty.
Kind of, because I believe, like, I feel like a lot of people that got training, they probably needed it to like stay in the gym and be healthy, but it's very shitty when I have to put them on a scale, especially, I'll just use a woman, like a insecure middle-aged woman that's not happy. Okay. Like, this is what you had to do. This was a script they taught you. Okay. They make you fill these questions out that basically make you figure out, like, if I weigh this much, or if I have this body fat percentage, I'm going to be unhealthy and I'm going to feel bad about myself. Then you put them on the scale, and then you give them that stupid ass handheld thing, which, accuracy or not, like, most women are above 25% body fat in America. And and they told us, yeah, so the females, the healthy is 18 to 25. And further down the road, I realized it's got to be bullshit. And I can get to that in a minute. But like, so you have this lady in here in front of you, like completely hating her life right now. And then you have to be like, all right, so we'll pay the gym all this money. We'll get you on this plan, sign a year contract. And you have no idea what you're doing now, because you've never been in the gym before, but we're just now you're going to have to work hard for years to hopefully see a 1% increase. And you just feel bad. I mean, at least I did. And it was just never something I like to do. But
no, it was, and I get where you're coming from, because they wouldn't be walking in if they didn't want to be there in the first place. Yeah. Right. So they're walking in, and this is the sales training coming back, right? And they're walking in because they're interested in it. So it's your job as a salesperson to be able to convince them that they made that right decision. But it's fucked up, because my training was, you know, every objection was going to be time commitment, spouse, or money.
Yes.
And the whole goal was to eliminate time commitment and spouse before I even get through the questions. Yeah. That way I can say, well, you said that your spouse was cool with you coming in. But you know what I'm saying? You already told me that you have the time.
Yeah.
Because I already took those all out.
Yeah. Because if you're selling a product, it's different.
Yes. Yeah. So then it's when it came to, usually most would close before the money was a deal. Yeah. Right. But it's when the money was the deal and that was the objection. That's when I felt dirty. Yeah. Because then the training was, well, let's figure out how much, in my head, let's figure out how much money you're spending getting out of shape.
I did that before.
Right. And that's where I felt.
I mean, it's valid.
And it's totally valid.
So it's really valid, but it depends on like where you're coming from. So with the gym I used to be at, you had sales goals, there's competitiveness of like who's going to sell the most. And then you kind of fall into that trap of like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this sale. And I was laughing when you said that because I remember this lady, I didn't even book the appointment, but I think I had to go in last minute and I was like, fuck, I got to get the sale or they're going to get pissed at me. And then it was like, I don't know, like $180 a month or something like that. But then so I'm like, all right, let's try this. And I could tell she got mad at me. I'm like, what do you eat for lunch every day? And it was a Publix sub, which is like $9. And then she admitted she gets a Snickers bar every day. So I looked it up. I was like, okay, that's like $220. I did the math, multiplied by 5 and then by 4. I'm like, well, you're paying more for just your lunch than you are for personal training. And then she didn't buy, but I knew it's because of the way I presented it. But at the same time too, it's like, let's say they do buy and they don't really want to. Do you think they're going to do what they want to do or what they need to do outside of the gym when only training with the trainer one time a week to make progress? They're not going to make progress and you kind of look like a liar.
No, my clients never did.
No.
You know, the ones that I closed that way. But
yeah.
And I think everybody still, this is probably my bias, but I still think everybody needs to learn that because that's the only way they're going to build their initial client base.
Oh yeah.
Right. Then after that, it's a referral business.
Yes.
Like your success should bring in.
If you do, let's just call those like sloppy sales, right?
Yes.
Let's just say you get 30 of them, but you're able to make a very good effect on 10% of them. That's only 3 people. Those 3 people can probably get you all the business you need as long as your retention rate is good. So it does kind of funnel that way, but it's just the weird thing is just getting those initial people to buy. But typically those 3 people I'm referring to are not even the ones you had to play the sales game with. They're just like, I'm ready for a change. And as like a personal trainer, coach, whatever you want to call yourself in whatever field of like fitness, those people you get that do really good, they're doing good because of you. But usually you're just a facilitator and they're self-motivated for other reasons. You just have to keep them in line.
So when you made this jump from the gym that you're in now, did you have the stereotype of being a powerlifting gym?
Yes. And I still do sometimes, which sucks because a lot of people think like, cause it's me or like what they see on social media, it's like, it's just powerlifting and they think it's just like a barbell club. So fortunately, and I was just talking to my trainer, Carolyn, on the way here, I was sending her voice messages about how we need to, or how we, because my business, if you look at the showcase page, you can barely tell it's powerlifting based now. And that's by design. Like powerlifting is always going to be like the core of where I come from. But if you want to run a successful business, show me a powerlifting gym that's been able to scale and do very well and for a long period of time. And I figured that out really quickly. So like in our gym, we have like the monolifts, the combo racks, and anyone can use those. You don't have to powerlift, but we also have a shitload of hand-picked machines and we have a shitload of pretty much all people, like 90% plus is what we call Gen Pop. And really that's just a term for a regular person that doesn't compete in anything. So, and they're getting pretty good results and they're liking the gym, they're liking their environment. And that's what keeps it growing because it's not like, oh, that Jordan dude has loud music and powerlifting shit. It's, oh, like that lady from gymnastics, because the gymnastics gyms that my kid go to is right down the street. I go there because she just started a few months ago. And I see all these ladies and dads from my gym. I'm like, oh, wow. And I was very happy to see that only because we're in that market now where we're not just that niche gym. We're just known as a gym. And yeah.
Well,
does that make sense?
No, I get it.
Because I ramble sometimes.
Well, every gym owner that I know that kind of has that base with that, it's good to have that base and remember where you come from and all that. But typically those are the members that don't want to pay. You know, they're your worst members.
They are. And they might be your friends.
Yes.
But they're not moving the needle of like, you could be like, all right, well, our membership's $50. We got to bring it to 60. They're going to be the ones that are offended. The ones that you pretty much started the gym for. And it's like, dude, like we're only here in the beginning because we all wanted a place to train. So like pay the extra $120 a month and the equipment keeps getting upgraded and you're having like, go somewhere else. I dare. You're not going to like it. You can't adjust any of the benches there. And luckily a lot of the guys in that camp that we're talking about at my gym, they're intelligent people. They understand and they have no problem supporting the gym. And it's just, it's a weird mental battle too, from like, because you feel bad upping your prices, you feel bad doing certain things, but then you realize like it goes, because one thing I ran into from like a personal standpoint is like, my income has gone up a lot. Like I'll just say it. It's like, since I last met you, it's fucking wild. And then you feel bad, like, man, like these people are just like supporting like just my life now. But then I realize, well, no, they're actually supporting this facility and the gym and the trainers and the other members, and being able to shift from that mindset to that mindset. I don't feel as bad now as like having to up a price or like ask a little more out of the members or something like that.
With those members that you're talking about, I don't know if the word leverage is the right ones, but
No,
they can be leveraged to be able to help other members in the gym because you've been training with them forever. Like they know how to show somebody how to use a machine. They know if they look over and that person's doing something wrong, how to approach them to be able to say, hey, look, let's change the seat setting on this.
It almost sounds scripted, because when someone comes in for a tour of my gym, or they're like, dude, I don't know how to do anything, and they're kind of lost. Like, because a lot of people think like you can just go into a gym and just be educated on how to use every single machine. I'm like, it doesn't work like that.
No.
Like, you know how I could show you each one, you're going to forget. We have 40 fucking pieces. But I always tell people, look for the most intimidating guy or most in shape guy or girl here that like is very familiar with the place. Ask them for help, and they're going to help you 100% because they've been here the longest. They know what it's like. And that's never a lie. So, and I always kind of go through that spiel. It's like more of a community-based gym. If you just tell whoever that comes in the door that's like very like hesitant about the place, be like, hey, look, like meet these guys, meet these girls. They're going to help you. Please don't be, and the members that we're referring to, they already kind of know their role in that. Like there have been countless times where I look out the window and I just see like some guy showing someone how to use a machine that you probably wouldn't see at any other gym.
Are you looking to extend your career in the gym? It's one of the questions that I'm asked most frequently. I'm Dave Tate from elitefts. When it comes to longevity in the gym, I look no further than the support gear that you're using. By support gear, this is one of our custom-made blockers, by the way, strength equipment, elitefts.com. I know a little bit about it. I've been doing this for 4 decades. So wrist wraps, straps, belts, knee wraps. There's so many different types of support wear out there that where we can help you the most is we only provide the stuff that's the best. So if you're looking to extend your longevity in the gym, head over to elitefts.com, top toolbar, power gear, hamburger blowout, power gear. See, I don't know if you can get that culture without the path that you did. So let's take away the first gym, let's take away the path, right? And let's just say you just started this one that you have now. Open the door, Facebook ads or whatever, pull all the leads and then you bring those people in. I don't know if you can do that.
You don't. Because I guess even if you go to, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but let's just say you go to like a very popular gym, because now gyms have shifted more towards like, it's really shifted from fitness centers to actual gyms now, like cool gyms with machines. Because now like gym equipment's like the big hobby of like gym. It's kind of weird. And
that can be a business in itself.
Exactly. And those are like the gyms now where people go to. But like if you go to one out of state or something like that, and they have all the awesome equipment, good, it just looks nice, but you still feel out of place there. It's like no one talks to each other. You can tell no one knows each other there. And I've been lifting for powerlifting since 2009, lifting since 2007. Even me now, someone that's like very familiar with stuff, if I'm traveling and I go to a gym that's like really widely known, like I feel like out of place there.
It's weird, right?
It's almost, I don't know if the word's like insecure. I'm just like, this is odd. Like there's a place, I forgot what it was. I was out of state and I was like all looking forward to the gym and I'm just like, I don't feel wanted here.
It's weird because it's,
and no one knows who the fuck you are. Like,
was it last year? Because I'll spend time in North Myrtle and there's a gym down there called the Pump House, which I generally go to, which is a good gym, right? It's, but every now and again, I'll be like, well, I'm going to go over here for a week and say it's one of the biggest fitness centers that's there. And just so I have the whatever sauna shit that you're not going to have anywhere else. But I want to watch and see how it works. And oh my, I was, and I don't get mad very often. I was mad for about not mad, frustrated for like 2 weeks because you watch all the trainers kind of walk around
Yeah.
and they're not doing shit. Then you're watching the Gen Pop people that you're talking about getting on machines and not the fucking chest press. It's like up here, nothing's set where
Yeah.
it should be set. Right. And I'm thinking the whole time is, dude, you're right there. And this 70-year-old lady is over here doing a partial because she didn't even change the weight from the last person that was on there. And you watch this for like an hour and it's like, man.
Yeah. So you think about it there, it's like, it kind of goes into what I said earlier about personal trainers not sticking around because they have no, what's the word? Courtesy, knowledge, like all the self-awareness. Like think about what you just said. That could be $5,000 a year to that trainer if they just had a fucking conversation and then take the money out of it. Like if you care about the facility you're at or you care about these people, just show the lady the shit and they're going to have a good time. And that takes what, 2 minutes?
And the instructions are on this. It's a fucking Cybex.
Yeah.
Like the instructions are on the card on the machine.
Just go fucking show them. Like, hey, just move this here.
Yeah. And so I just came to the conclusion they don't care,
No, I agree with that.
and that's sad, man, because these people are paying memberships. I'm sure their rate's not going to change. It's probably some hourly rate, but I'm sure it's the same like when you were in there. If they get them as a client, it is an extra
And
client.
yeah, like you look at it from that standpoint, like we can go both of them. It's one, people claim they get into personal training because they care and they want to change lives. If you can't take 5 minutes out of your day to just help someone out, and 5 minutes is being fucking, it's probably going to take way less just to get them set up on that machine and show them how to do it. And then from a business aspect, like I mentioned earlier, these trainers are like, oh, I'm just not making any money, whatever. It's like, dude, that ROI on those few minutes could be so much per year. Now, let's say you do that 10 times a month and then they just became your clients, even if half of them or 10% of them.
Well, where I was going with this is if I'm in a gym that's like yours, or like that Pump House or one of the other ones, I never see that ever.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because everybody that's going in there is relatively training good. I mean, we can debate that, but they're training fine.
Yeah.
Right. For the people that are going in there. And if somebody's doing something stupid, there's somebody that will walk over to be able to help them.
Yeah.
Or if they need help, they ask for help.
And those people usually know how to frame it too, where they're not like making the person feel dumb. And that's what I like to see too. Cause some people, they're already super insecure about being in a gym. And I hate to see them almost like down on themselves. So when I see someone, if I'm busy and I like, oh shit, I got to address this ASAP, but I see someone go over, it's almost like a sigh of relief that people are like, oh fuck, like these people are nice. And then it just carries on. They like the community and then everyone's happy.
So with your own clients, because you have this powerlifting background and this personal training background, kind of the same backgrounds that I had. And the issues I had is once I had the clients, they were fine, but a lot of people didn't want to work because I'm the powerlifter.
Yeah.
Right. They think that I'm going to train. Did you have that same thing?
Honestly, no. And it's funny, even so with the powerlifting background, even the reputation, I feel like it's the 30-minute sessions that fuck that up or prevent that from being like, oh, he's training me like a powerlifter. Because what happens with the 30-minute sessions, you might get to your third working set and like, all right, we got to go. I got my next person. So you can never really get them into the barbell. But once I figured out that, I'm like, okay, like it's just like what's the word? It's like a volume game. So now what I try to do with people that at least express interest in the barbell, I'll start them slow. I'll be like, all right, we'll do squats this week. And if they're multiple times per week, it's pretty easy because you can say, hey, just so you know, like this whole day, we're just squatting. Here's your spreadsheet, program, whatever. You're going to do that on your own. And then day 2 and 3, we'll do our usual sessions. And then you introduce the next barbell lift. And then over time, they become, for some reason, I guess we know why, but the barbell makes people a little more they're able to figure things out by themselves later on with the other stuff. So once they get proficient at those lifts, whether it's overhead press, barbell row, that takes more time, they're fine on doing the other stuff on their own. And I think that's because they realize the barbell is a little more complex. So that all that other stuff afterwards, it's just easier to navigate. And
did you start with 30-minute sessions or hours?
It was all 30-minute it's called around the clock fitness. And even when people now ask me, like, is 30 minutes enough time? I'm like, it is, but it isn't. I think it just depends on the person, what they're looking to get out of it.
See, I started with the hours and then went to the 30 minutes because if somebody doesn't show up or cancels or I can't stand them, that's a whole hour, man.
Dude,
so I
it's
dropped it to 30 minutes to be able to help my cash flow for
Yeah.
one thing. But that's when I realized I can get everything done. They can do their warm up beforehand.
Exactly.
They can do that shit afterwards. It doesn't make sense to stand there and watch them walk on the treadmill for 20
I'm a big
minutes.
fan of 30-minute sessions, especially for some it's challenging, but if we're at least halfway decent at what we do and we communicate well and put on a little extra time on the front end of things, one, that's going to help retention, two, it's going to help their experience. But in my opinion, personal training model at a regular gym sucks is if they're like, okay, here's my time, I'll see you next week. I think trainers need to build out some sort of program and resource for their clients. So at least they're self-sufficient on those other days. Because one, we refer to one time a week in the beginning of this podcast for some of these people, like they're not going to get anything out of it. So if you're like, okay, so you're not paying for just my 30, 60 minutes, you're going to pay for the program, some communication, and however you want to scale that with your pricing, that's on you and however you're going to do it. But that's going to keep them in there and they're going to actually get results and stick with you.
So how do you manage the quality control with the other trainers then?
Set the expectation.
So they can program however they want?
Yeah. So it's been suggested we get kind of like a universal thing, like maybe get an app and stuff like that. And not an app to like design the workouts for, but just for like program delivery. So everyone has the same thing. But you and I both know there's too many types of people. Like trainers might suck with the app. The client might suck with the app. Or if you see someone with some sort of app or like some feedback thing, they're just in the fucking gym all day texting their app and putting notes in. I'm like, okay, like that's not productive more than likely. So I kind of just say like, hey, they have to have their program. And at least with our gym now, with all the equipment, we have like an exercise tutorial, machine tutorial. So like on said spreadsheet, they can just link one of us in the gym with that exact machine on how to set it up and how to perform it. And I think that's been helping a lot.
So then are there metrics that you track to make sure that the clients are making progress? For instance, the club had us do the stupid test, right? Do you do that or just let them kind of go as they will?
Unfortunately, the second one, that's been something I've kind of thought of. Well, it's one of the things you think I need to do it, but I don't. So like it's almost me just putting trust in the trainers to track everything. We don't have like a huge team. We have 3 people besides myself and I know them all personally. I do believe they're good at what they do. And just based on their retention, to me, it's like, well, no one really leaves unless they're going away for a few months or something like that during summer. So they got to be doing something right. But I do think that it should be because if I keep growing, I am going to get newer trainers, ones I don't really know. I should create some sort of system where it's like, that is the standard. Like every month, maybe do like a check-in sheet, just put it in your folder or something like that.
I would think something that's going to lean into your brand because eventually the trainers are going to leave.
Yes.
Right. If they leave, you don't want them to take all clients. They'll take some, but you don't want them to take all.
Yeah.
And the way you would keep them if there was something that tied into the brand, like a trainer could swap out with another trainer, it doesn't make any difference. But I get where you're coming from though, right? Because what keeps them coming is the relationship with the trainer.
So I don't know if I want to talk about that. So I had a situation, like, it's all good now. So I'll just preface it with that. I have a trainer, first conflict I've ever had as a business owner with like a trainer employee. And it was all over like silly shit. If we both talked about it right now, it's like, yeah, we're good. It's just stupid shit. And the thing that crossed my mind was like, okay, if this person leaves, how much revenue are we going to lose before payout and all that, or after payout? And how hard is that going to be? Right. And then I kind of figured out, put this, because I know you're probably going to listen to it, but like there were conversations with the clients, right? Like they came to me like, hey, is this person leaving? And like it was expressed to me like, well, we do want to stay at the gym, like, so like, well, I have a trainer. And it was never like, and I'm being completely honest, they never prefaced it with like, well, if he goes somewhere, I'm not going there. It was more of like, hey, we just really like this gym, so like, will you still have a place for me? And out of, let's just say 10 people, I got that from over 50%. And that was them coming to me, not me trying to do damage, because I didn't know what was going to happen yet.
Yeah.
And in terms of being a manager, a business owner, I'm very green at that. I'm very not good at confrontation type thing, if you want to call it confrontation, like the hard conversations, a skill I have to work on. And that was like my experience, like going through that, like, okay, maybe I could be good at this. And
Well, what I found with, I mean, we're going way back, right? As things change, is it was about 50% because a lot of the clients that they're at the gym because of the location, right? It's closer. If this person goes over here, now I got to drive this extra half hour.
yeah,
Or now I need to get in a car, where before I was just walking from my work to this building and it was in there, and they're not willing to do that.
yeah,
Right. So there's location based, or the equipment,
and it's
you know,
just,
the
that's
friends
life.
that are there. There's all those other factors that the trainer that wants to leave doesn't consider,
Mhm.
because, as I did, they think if you leave, they're all going to come,
Oh yeah.
and it never works out that way.
I've never seen
Maybe
it happen.
Maybe.
So when you started to say that, I thought of another thing. So back at the around the clock where I used to work at, we had a trainer there, young dude, fucking jacked, pretty boy, very good at sales, very good with his people. And if I remember right, there was a customer service issue in terms of like tardiness and like kind of just, when people get comfortable, trainers like, oh, I'm going to move you here. I'm going to move you here. Well, that didn't really sit well with a lot. And it actually became like whatever, but still a lot of his people that were with him didn't know that existed. It didn't happen to them. And my boss at the time had to fire him. And he was like, dude, I'm going to lose so much fucking revenue. Like all these people are going to leave. He didn't lose shit. They stuck with the other trainer. They didn't leave. Like no one actually left because of that. And I remember when I was faced with the scenario I just told you, I thought about that. And I was like, if even 50% of what happened there happens here, and it was on a much lesser scale because that guy was way busier, I'm going to be okay. And at the same time too, it was like, okay, let's just say they all do leave. That's going to give me something else where it's like, all right, well, this is going to prepare me for the future. Because as you said, everyone ends up leaving. So I'm going to have to put out fires and make up revenue and figure things out. So I just look at it as, and that's kind of how I'm wired. It's like, I just look at it as like an opportunity. And
Yeah, what I found is the the clients would stay. Worst case scenario, they didn't take on another trainer. They just went about it themselves.
yeah,
Right. Which is fine because they're still members. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the main revenue at the end of the day, because that's going to be the longer term revenue. Perhaps because most people that get into personal training stay.
yeah.
If you're good, right? I'm sure most of the clients that you have stayed.
Oh, at my gym
No, for your own clients have been,
oh,
that you've
yeah.
had have been with you through maybe even all locations.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I've had people, the guy I mentioned, the 72, like he's 2 knee replacements, 2 hip replacements. He was at around the clock with all these other he was a guy that liked to try a bunch of stuff, and he like never wanted to come with me. And I was like, this fucking, like, I don't care. He was a funny dude, loud, he's like that guy it's like the class clown of the gym. And I remember I called him one day because that was part of my job, just call these people to offer a free session. And he made such a big joke about it. And then he ended up working with me one day because his trainer left or whatever. And he stayed with me there, never switched, came with me to my house, every location. And I think it's because of what we're saying. It's like that becomes a part of their life. It doesn't even have to be the equipment. Like you can go from having all this to maybe one dumbbell and we'll figure it out. And they just become loyal to you. And I think that's something a lot of people miss in like this space is the programming and shit doesn't matter too much.
So what have you seen with your meets since you've moved?
Dude, so the meat aspect is something I actually wanted to get your thing. So one trend I've had, or that we've had, is the old business model, because running a meet can be a business, in my opinion. I mean, we talked about this. It's a good revenue booster. When we started, everyone got into powerlifting. That was the thing. And I could rely on at least 25 to 35 lifters from my own gym to do that meet. So you're good. Now, since we're not just a powerlifting based gym, and now we're getting to the point where a lot of these lifters are hitting that wall of like, okay, I have to try a lot fucking harder. The instant gratification is gone. One thing Trevor Jaffe said somewhere, I think he said like, and I don't know where the fuck he's pulling this out, but he said something about like the average lifespan is maybe 5 years. And if you make it that far, you're like ahead of the curve. So we're reaching this mark where we're 2020, 6 years into business. And now all these lifters are like not doing as many meets, or they're just like, you're still training like it, but they're not like that into it like they were. So the attendance of the meet registration is down. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, is this like a me thing, a gym thing, a them thing, all the above? And when you're, and I took a note of this, when you were talking about the open powerlifting numbers, I don't even know how you got there, but I noticed they were going up and then it started to drop just a little bit. Cause when you were going on the way up, like, is this going to drop at all? And it did a little bit. So I'm wondering is, from what you see with because you seem like a big data guy, is powerlifting declining right now?
Hey guys, I just wanted to take a moment because we do read the comments, and one of them that keeps popping up more frequently than not is, I can't believe this video doesn't get more views. Take a minute to subscribe, leave a comment, and share. It really does help.
It's hard to
Or
tell,
is it local based?
because if the numbers are in the USA 60,000 and we're just counting the raw or whatever, so 50,000 so far for this year, it would be trending over, but 50,000 spread across all states,
Yeah, you don't know
is
where it's
not a big number, right? So it can be very regional, right? So you could see a drop, but there's a big increase somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like in Ohio, it's not a lot, man. That's like a hockey stadium,
Yeah.
you know.
And I'm not one to get discouraged very easy at all, actually. But to me, seeing the numbers, like the power, just from like the love of powerlifting and my style, because my big thing is like, man, like we're like one of the only powerlifting gyms in like the 90-mile radius. There's like Legacy Barbell and a few others that are doing awesome. But it's like, we're going to grow too. So powerlifting is always going to be, and it's not from a number business standpoint now. It's more of like, I just want to see powerlifting be really cool in this area because I know what it does for your average person. And when I talk about powerlifting meets now, we said this last time, these like local level meets where it's just like you always say like the person that pulls 3 red or something like that. I think that's what you said. That's what I like as well. And I want to see that trend up again because I don't like the decline right now. It's like, do I need to figure out how to get these people that have been with us a while back into competing often, or do I need like new blood?
I would say new blood.
Yes. And and I know you kind of like vet the guests a little bit, catch up on their content or whatever. I don't know if you saw like on the gym page, I guess it's collaborative with mine. I did like a series of like, if you're doing your first meet, like I just went over each topic. A part of that was like, well, hopefully we can get more like information out on the meets for these people because they know what it is, but they don't know what it is until they go there and see it and be a part of it. So I'm really hoping that this next meet we're putting on, we can at least get some good attendance from like local or from gym members. So maybe they want to try it.
Well, what I wonder is when you were coming up, you know, you weren't a power lifter and yes, you competed, right? I mean, that was just kind of how it was all kind of mentally framed across the board. But powerlifting, while the sport says ups and downs by 10%, you know, for the past decade or whatever it is. And the people that train like powerlifters is substantially increased.
Yes.
Right. So what we used to call closet bodybuilders, you know, we have now closet powerlifters where they're not thinking in their head, I need to compete. They just want to train for strength, that's what's trending big time right now across. I think the one study I saw earlier this year, the number one fitness goal across the board for all populations is strength.
That's good.
Yeah, it is, right? It's really good, especially if you specialize in strength.
Yeah.
Right. Because that leans into that and it's not so much the aesthetic, you know, part of all that. But with that, if there's this perceived permission that you can train for strength but not compete, we may see a decrease in meets.
Yeah. Because when you draw back to like when I was like you said, like powerlifting was just a thing. And if you, at a period of time, if you squat, bench, deadlift heavy, you probably want to be a powerlifter. Now that's just like your machine chest press is your bench press, your leg press is now your barbell squat. And I never thought of it like that. So I think the answer might be like on a local micro level, it's just introduce them to the sport and show them that it's not just like the strong ass people you see on the internet.
Well, there could be an oversaturation of meats too, which is kind of course correcting right now.
Yeah.
Because there was,
Because I think it's happening across.
there was a time like 2 years ago. It's like, if he wanted to lift, if anybody wanted to lift in a meet, I can find one in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
There's like a meet every week.
And they'd be pretty much full.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's happening now, especially where I'm at now. Like, I don't know. I don't want to like look at it from that mindset, because then I don't want to be that guy that's like, well, it's happening to everyone, so I'll just stay.
Well,
down
if
here.
there's 200% more meats than there used to be, you're going to see a decrease in,
because they got to
meats
go to where
across the
it's
board.
close too.
Because they're going to go to different meets until that course corrects, right? Because if people think, hey, if I can run this in my gym, I make $1,000,
Yeah.
right? Then they're going to do it. Any business owner is going to be able to do that
Yeah.
until they realize, man, this sucks. I got to move all this shit. I got to close the gym. I mean, there's
Dude,
a lot.
some motherfucker. Like, I remember, because people, like community gyms, like people will like say some shit, and I don't really I didn't take offense to this. I'm like, what a fucking idiot. But the meet entries, they go up, right? Like they used to, but what do we also do now? Like, we provide very good equipment, a good warm up room. We pay the lifters, we pay the staff, we pay the like people that don't understand, I don't know the words economics behind it, but like I heard someone made a comment, oh, Jordan's just all about the money now at these meets. I'm like, okay, you do this shit for free. Like, and it's not just me making the money, it's the gym making the money. It's part of the revenue plan. And if it's that much of an issue for you to pay $15 to get in the door, like stay the fuck home, dude. Like I don't want your money. And this was from someone that like has actually competed in powerlifting before. And I just thought it was funny. Like, and this person was actually a business owner as well. I'm like, how does this person not realize what the payout structure? Because we're giving away, let's take King and Queen of the platform out. It's $26K, we get sponsored, whatever. But like even these smaller level meets, we're still paying $500 prizes to people that are never going to make money at another meet. Like, let's just say how it is. Like, you're not going to send someone with the 425 dots that can make a few $100 anywhere else most of the time.
Well, on these days though, too, is it in your gym?
Sometimes now.
Okay. So if it's in your gym, your trainers aren't training people.
Yeah. And we have to take everything out at 3 a.m, the day of.
Yeah.
And even when we do move it places, that's even worse, because you have to get trailers and because we don't have combo rack. We don't compete on combo racks, we compete monoliths. So that's 3 monoliths you got to transport. Yeah. That's thousands of pounds of weights. It's every barbell in the place. You got to move shit to get that out. And then, yeah, it's just like,
well, that's why I asked about the meets, because if a gym owner runs a meet, right, then the gym owner is not making the revenue that they would make for that weekend, right? And sometimes it ends up being a wash.
Yeah.
Like, look, I can just not have the meet and make the same amount of revenue, right? Maybe just $500 less or whatever it's going to be. And then they just quit doing it, right? Because this is a pain in the ass and I'm losing money. I'm making the money back, but sometimes they're not making the money back plus XXX to be able to make it worth it.
I mean, I'll be transparent about it. Like, I figured out a way how to make some of my powerlifting music very profitable. And I think that's just being able to have ties to the community, because it's sponsorships, right? So it's, let's say I have 30 local companies I reach out to and I'm like, hey, we got 500,000. And you'll have companies that are owned by members that will sign up for the bare minimum for like $250, like Chad Walker, Walker Canine Training. He pays as if he's going to be there at the booth. The guy's not going to bring a fucking booth there. Like, what's he going to do there? And we have a bunch of stuff like that. So the prize money's announced, the payroll's planned ahead of time. And like I'll say it, like I've walked away from like meets that aren't huge in terms of like talent numbers with a lot of thousands of dollars that I'm like, holy fuck, this is crazy. And that's great and all. But even now I would do the same amount of structure and work to not make that money just so powerlifting can still be a thing. And I don't know if that's,
well, I'm going to double down on your revenue thing, right? Because if you take that and let's say it's $2,000, and then how much do you charge for an hour of training?
Yeah.
Right. Because you have to reach out to those sponsors. There's work. Yeah. There's hours that you're putting into all that.
Oh, there's,
right. So say there's 100 hours that you're putting into all that, but you make 150 training a client. Right.
You're right. Averages out at the end.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So it's
just, it seems so much more because you're getting it all in one weekend.
Well, yes, it does. But people don't see all those other hours that you put into all that, when they're looking at what that revenue was.
Yeah.
Right. Because you could just not do it, but just train more clients.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Yeah.
a lot of the gym
No, I
owners
get it.
will come to
Yeah,
that
it makes
conclusion.
sense. So.
But you don't factor that in because you love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, look, I'm just answering these calls between clients or whatever it's
Yeah.
going to be. But it is, if you had to block it out, like we talked earlier, like here's the time that I'm going to work on my meat.
Like if I was put on like a, I don't know, like a CrossFit competition at my gym for whatever reason, they're like, this is fucking stupid. Like, because this isn't my thing. Powerlifting is my thing. So I guess there's an enjoyment and satisfaction behind it. And like the money comes second. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And I do think that if this trend is true, like the strength is the main thing, you might be able to have a different division for like the Gen Pop just to be able to get some numbers in. Like it's not like the real, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just, and then that may be the replacement people that come in there. So,
and one thing I thought about too is just holding like events and not just sanctioned powerlifting meets, just to get them into the door.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like every random gym is going to have a bench press competition for however they run it. Like we think it's silly because like the standards, because that's not what we're around. But if they have fun doing that and then they realize like, oh, there's actual like meets and shit where it's like official and fun, that could be a good segue into the sport as well.
I think so. I think it's a big opportunity.
Yeah. You were asking something. I totally just got selfish and just wanted your advice on that. Cause I was thinking about like, cause you've been through all these different generations, ups and downs in the sport. Like, what do you think is going on? And so,
well, I think the biggest thing is when people are trying to figure out what's going on is they don't go look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Right. It's all right there. Like, it's just crazy to me that the multiply is that they don't see. Yeah. Like all you need to do is go look and see and, you know, learn how to unclick a couple things. It's not that hard to be able to see what that is from the sport. But the bigger picture is what's happening outside of the sport that's kind of similar to the sport, you know, the closet powerlifters per se and so forth.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they just kind of blame, like there's always like the buzzwords, which even if they have validity to them, you have to figure out a way to adapt to it so you can still maintain or get ahead, in my opinion, right? Through the waves. So now you're going to have stuff like, is it the saturation? Does the sport declining? There's nothing we can do about it, but you only need so many people to be able to get to where you were. Like if you lost, if there's 100 people you relied on and you lose 40, every town, well, most towns have a lot of people, maybe not this one.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like there's so many people you can get over a period of time. And if you can fill those in with those new people, and then some of the older people will come back and do
well, the feeder system, the lead generation system has changed.
Yeah.
Where it used to be the gym and the crew that you trained with would just go to a certain meet.
Yeah,
right
that
now
shit doesn't exist anymore.
No, because everybody's got their own online coach.
Yeah.
So the feeder system really is the online coach, right? If the online coach, if they have people that are close, I mean, that becomes the problem, right? Because the online coach has people all over the place. So they can't say, hey, look, come to this meet, but that would be what that feeder system is.
Yeah. And that kind of brings it into the whole, this kind of has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it does. And I know you've talked about this with many people. We've talked about it, just like the evolution, or I call it the de-evolution of like powerlifting. Like nothing's better, in my opinion, than having like, hey guys, we're going to squat at 9:00 and just everyone shows up every week. And then like in my own personal squat group that we started a few years ago, it's like people die off. They just stop coming in, or they show up when like it's convenient for them, or they don't stick around a spot. So like you and I, that's what we came up with. And when you see that shit now not happening, even if it's not your group, you're like, these guys are fucking idiots. Like just stop the shit. Just train together. Like I made a post the other day because it was a few weeks ago. The security camera was up on my TV. I don't even know how they got up there. And I look up and there's 3 dudes. Unfortunately, all guest passes are from out of town. We have 8 combo racks and they were on 1. And I was like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see that anymore. And I took a picture, I made like a story on it. And of course, who was it? It was like the younger dudes coming up. They're just happy to lift and don't know if they have coaches or whatever, but they're just training hard, having fun. They're fucking around blasting like Taylor Swift in my radio. I'm like, this is weird, but like they're having fun and training. Like you don't see that anymore. And that's very unfortunate in my opinion. Like this whole shit of like, take the cell phone, sit on All right, do your set, get on the cell phone, check my program, go do that. And for whatever reason, like an individual that squats 200, 300 pounds, that takes them an hour. And then they're in the gym 2 more hours, just, like the training, like that's not sustainable for people because it's not, one is a time commitment. They think that it really doesn't have to be that long. And they think that every workout has to be like that, just boring after a certain period.
Well, I think there's 2 things going on there. There's
monotony.
There's them not wanting to break from the program that they're paying their coach to do.
Yeah.
Right. So their program's going to have X on it. So they're going to do whatever X is, and it may not be the same bar you're using or whatever it's going to be. So they're going to stick to whatever that is because they don't know and haven't been told they could pivot or that there's value in even pivoting. Right. So there's that, the optimal scenario is the coaches should be saying, look, if you ever have the opportunity to be able to train with somebody that's stronger than you are, let me know and we're going to pivot so you can take advantage of that. But that's probably not going to happen.
Well, there is a scenario a few years ago, like 2 years ago, I had someone online and they belonged to a gym with like good lifters. And I flat out asked the person, like, and they ended up still working with me, but I was almost like not firing them, but I told them, I was like, hey man, like you have all these people around you, you train alone with a spreadsheet. You're going to get way more out of, even if you just wing your workout every week at your level in powerlifting right now, like training with these people, do that. You'll get better and you'll have more fun. And like, I got kind of ignored, to be honest, but like, I was totally willing to give up that like revenue for the whatever, just be like, dude, just go have fun. Like you're going to get more out of it.
The more lifters speak about it, the better. Because there's also the self accountability of the lifter knowing that
coming from someone that makes a living off of fucking coaching too.
Yes.
And I don't know. It's so valuable to train with people, especially ones that are like way ahead of you and not just numbers, but experience. Because like you said, the pivots are usually better.
Yes, I 100% agree, but there's the ignorance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this online coaching has been going on for like a decade, right? Maybe even more than that. So, and everybody that gets into powerlifting eventually wants to be a coach. It just seems to be the thing.
Yeah.
Right. So when you started, you didn't have a crew, it was an online coach, right? That's all you know. Yeah. That's all this person would know. Then after 2 years, they're going to think, I want to be a coach. So they're going to do whatever their coach did, right? So with each trickle down,
it's a big domino
of
effect
that,
over the years.
And it compounds more independence, I guess you would say, non-crew type of thing.
Yeah.
Because they don't know any better. And now the client that they work with, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is so far removed that they don't even know it's a thing.
Yeah. And then we're having this conversation and the population you're speaking about now are probably watching us like, these guys are dumbasses.
They're just old dudes bitching about how things used to be, which you don't want to be, right?
Yeah. But and I'm aware, like everything evolves and a lot of the times for the better, but I will stick by my guns thinking it's way more valuable as a beginner, intermediate lifter to just train with people.
Well, it's better for your mental health.
Yeah. And it's fun. Like you'll stick, if you really like the sport, you'll stick around longer. Like even now, like I kind of alluded to like our little squat crew, it's kind of like, it's not really a thing anymore. It's like Saturdays used to be, people would not want to be in the gym Saturday mornings, not because they hated the environment, but because it's like, it's too fucking busy and loud. Like I'll just come later after. It's not like that anymore now. It's like,
well, you've been around long enough. There's ebbs and flows where even when I was at Westside, there were times it was, God, I remember several times it was just me, Kenny Patterson, Louie, Chuck Vogelpohl. And that's probably it.
Yeah.
And then Louie would say, you guys need to find fucking people to come in here. Like, how the fuck? We don't train anywhere. Like, how are we going to do that? Right. And even with the crews that I've had over the years, it will dwindle down. And then next thing you know, like a year later, there's 20 people.
Yeah.
Like, where the hell did these people come from? But it's the ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And you alluded to that earlier. So you've seen that this kind of plays out.
And at my specific gym, I'm really hoping that we kind of get that uptick. And even if, so we hold a meet in August, it's like a master's youth one. It's more of a youth one because whatever. But like, I already thought to myself, what I'm going to do or what I want to do, what I'm going to do is just open invitation. Be like, hey, like if you're 19 or below, you belong to this gym, free entry. And what I'll do, just so they have some guidance, even though it kind of goes against what we're talking about, like I'll just do like a template program for them. It's like, you don't have to like follow it to a T, ask me questions. But all I ask is like, you just show up to the meet, get the experience. Cause like you said before, there's so many people that train like that, but they don't compete. And if they have any semblance of fun at the said meet, they're going to want to keep doing it. And chances are it's like, they do great. They're motivated. They love it. they kind of suck at it or underperform or just don't follow the commands or anything, kind of disappointed themselves, but they know there's room to grow, so they want to do it. And that's kind of what I'm hoping what we can make happen over the next couple of years.
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Any topics you wanted to go over I didn't bring up? I get your list here.
Yeah.
Growth of meats, how the gyms.
You really went on the fly.
I don't know why you put this, but you put it.
Did I?
Knowing the end of competing is near.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah, there could be a lot of ways to talk about it, right? Like if I'm going to go for myself, right? Like we kind of goes against what we just talked about in the beginning of this, where it was like, okay, with the powerlifting aspect, you've been in it so many years, you got to put it all together. And for someone like me or like you, it's like, how much effort do you want to put towards that for maybe like another 5 pounds when there's other things, right? So for me, like if we had this conversation a few years ago, like we did, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not done anytime soon. And I don't really want to be done anytime soon, but I am aware that it's coming at least from like a certain level. And I think that's more of like, it's finding that like fine, what's the word? Like introspective thing. Is like, am I being a bitch or am I like just, there are other things in my life now that I want to put effort towards where you can't really do what's required for everything at once. But then again, it's like you can structure it like the whole season aspect, but you're never actually continuously getting better at something. But for me, it's like, how am I mentally going to do a few more meets? Like, okay, like this is it without like wanting to, I don't really like the word retirement in powerlifting, but like coming out of it just for another one. Cause the way we're wired, there's always, you want one more, you think you can do a little more. And I think it's like finding that it's like, you're never going to have that performance where you're super happy with. Cause like, if you do really good, can I just said about these hypothetical kids, if you do really good, you know, you can do more. If you do really bad, you got to make up for that. So I think for some people, it's just finding something else that's going to like satisfy that, like that need.
I think the advice I would have with lifters like yourself, right? I need to preface and this is going to sound bad. No. Don't allow yourself to ever compete as a master, right? Because see, in any other sport that we participate in, your performance dictates when you're done. In this sport, you can keep going.
You can justify it by
forever, right? And then when that's the path, the only way out when you have the meathead eyes, the meathead brain, is injury.
Yeah.
You just physically can't do it anymore, which is what I did. And I don't want other people to do that, to where if you can see that my numbers, no matter how well I put it together, are no longer competitive.
Yeah.
I'm out, right? The bad choice would be, but if I go here, you know, as a submaster.
Because you're not talking about don't compete past a certain, you're talking about don't switch your division to chase those certain rankings. And
because the sport's telling you at that point, like if you can't, and I think you will, but if you can't, you know, compete and best these numbers and be in that top 5%, then the sport's telling you.
Because that's the injury aspect. That's the big thing. Like, I don't want to be forced out because like, it sounds weird, but maybe we're all a little fucked up. So you're going to get it. Sometimes the whole injury thing, like I alluded to with the pec tear, like that was like the best for me because it gave me something to focus on. But like that gets old after a while. It's like, okay, how many comeback stories do I got to fucking fabricate for myself? So like for me in particular, and I feel like this could apply to a lot of lifters like around the training age of me, it's like, you know, you have that potential, maybe hit 1 or 2 more, but then it's like, okay, like at what cost? Like for a physical cost, what's it costing in your life? From like in my end, it's like the whole like business bullshit. But for me, I've done a good job, in my opinion. I'm able to really separate it at this point in my life where it's like, I can go away for a week now on like a vacation or a trip or whatever in the midst of like a meet prep. Like there's no version of me in the past that would have done that. Like everything has to be perfect. But now it's like, I can still get to a gym where I'm going. Like, does it need to be the exact thing? Does it have to be like in line with my routine to have a good meet? Probably not. And I feel like, at least that most recent meet I did in December, like, it's like, okay, I still got it for the most part. And I was able to do it under pretty shitty circumstances. So I don't think I need to chase the perfect circumstances I used to think always had to be. And like now too, with the gym and like family, like everything in my life, I have stuff that's cool now besides just powerlifting. And I think again, it's just that whole like meathead side of me is like, I don't want to be like that dude that like gives up on it, even though I know that's not the case.
Well, the interesting thing with the position that you're in, and a lot of you guys will get in, is the only way that you're going to progress further is going to your mostly healthy.
Yes, is putting them on the same.
Yeah, your health has to become prioritized, which are going to be the things that you tell all your Gen Pop people to do, that you'll have to do when this is all over, right? To where if this would have all ended when you're 250 bloated, you know, those health aspects, the sleep, the nutrition, all that, you would have just kept doing what you were doing back then to be able to do that. So you're learning these other skills, you know, that will benefit the powerlifting, but are going to be even more beneficial post.
Yes. No, for sure. Because now it's like you said before, you can't just always get ready for meets all year at a certain point. So like, for me, like a mental aspect, it's like shifting and doing this type of training for a bit. It's like, does that maybe take away from powerlifting? Maybe, but it probably doesn't, because you're not repetitively putting that specific strain on your body for the month in, month out, which chances are, if you're just squatting, benching, deadlifting all the time, you're going to get more tweaks than not. And for some people, like including myself, it's the whole mental refresher too. So it's like, once you step away from the sport for like a predetermined period of time, you want to get back to it because like people, everything else is boring. Like how many times do you hear people say like, I'm going to go bodybuild after I powerlift for a little bit, then go, you get in the gym, you don't know how to train like that. You're just sitting on a machine and you're like, this is fucking stupid. So you like, there's no drive. So like, I feel like at least having some sort of like athletic or gym goal to put into place when you have to step away from just a training cycle will benefit future training cycles, because you want to go do it again, because that's what you actually love to do.
Yeah, I think that if that lesson was earned earlier with a lot of lifters, it may give you the extra 2 or 3 more years at the back end. You know, that who knows what those could do.
Because like now for me, it's not really like a external thing or ego thing. Never really has been with me. It's more of like, okay, if I really had this goal, I really want to at least see through that I gave myself a shot at said goal. Like obviously for me, it's like maybe like one more squat record. And at this point, like I alluded to before, I'm like a lighter guy now. So it's like, if I have a chance at that, it's probably gonna be at 98, because I think my body after all these years is going to do a lot better at potential handling 807 than 854 with only like a 20 pound, like it's just makes sense to me at least. And then, but at the same time, it's like, if I don't do it, like I've done it twice before, and I just have to figure out a way to be like content with that. And it's easier now because I have other shit that I like to do. Because before in life, I was only good at powerlifting. And like now it's like, I'm not going to say I'm good at business, but at least it's a new individual challenge I have to take on. And that's just how I'm wired. I just always need something to like chase. And powerlifting is a good chase sport. It's just a matter of how are you going to be done with it in the context of how are you going to be done with it in terms of not fucking yourself up.
Yeah. How can people go about finding your meets, you do online training too?
Yeah. So the gym's Showcase Strength and Fitness. We're in Northport, Florida. So just at Showcase Strength and Fitness. And the Instagram name for that for me is Wong Stwong. My last name, W-O-N-G, S-T-W-O-N-G. Do online coaching. If for whatever reason you're watching this and haven't heard of Showcase and you belong in my area, just go to that gym. And for the powerlifting meets, all that stuff is conveyed on the Showcase Strength and Fitness page.
All right. So is it a link tree?
Yeah, we have a link.
Okay. Yep. So we'll put the link to all that in the description. You have any final thoughts?
No, thank you for having me. This is fun. Time really flew today. And no, it was cool talking to you about, it's almost like a selfish thing, right? Like I didn't frame it this way in the beginning, but with that whole talk we had about the powerlifting trajectory, the meets and all that, like it's good to get some insight from someone that's seen the different generations, and it's valuable to me.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're done.